Council meeting dated the 30th of October 2020, and the minutes is circulated. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Okay, if I can just get to the minutes myself as well. I know it's on the there we go. Minutes of the ordinary council meeting. Welcome, Councillor Machila. Dated the 30th of October. We're looking for corrections and confirmation. Can we start on page 1? Page 2? Page 3? Page 4? Page 5? Page 6?
Fine.
Is somebody talking? Oh, Mama Sisi. Okay. All right, thank you. Welcome, Mama Councillor Sisi.
Morning, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Okay. Can we go back to the minutes then? We were on page 6 now. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page number 11. Page 12. Page 13. Page 14, which is the last page. The rest of the pages, I suppose is 2 or 3, is the will be the attendance registers. Is that a true reflection, councillors? Can I get a motion for adoption?
Confirm.
Thank you, Councillor Bali. I've got a proposal from Councillor Bali. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Machila. That is then approved. The minute is approved and ready for actioning. If we can move to the next item on our agenda, statements of communication, item number 5 by the Executive Mayor. Mr. Mayor, over to you.
Good morning, Speaker, and greetings to all the councillors present and staff members as well. Speaker, I think I've spoken much during my mayoral committee on some of the most important issues. I might not be so detailed for this meeting, but the issue that I've raised, I happen to have a stakeholders meeting with the COVID-19 committee, where we discussed a number of issues because we have seen the scourge of COVID-19 in our town. We discussed it much on how can we combat the spread of the virus in our town. We were equally concerned about the festive season that is approaching, the effect of COVID-19 during the festive season. I then therefore requested officials to have a special seasonal plan for this year. COVID-19 seasonal plan, which I believe it's a good thing for the town. It's not only going to be a municipal plan, but the plan for the entire town, so that our population is safe. I'm grateful to express that the COVID-19 committee did a very good job, and the business an economic cluster committee. They have done a very great job. I'm definitely sure that Mr. Andrew Leslie Jacobs will present the plan. The plan that we'll be presenting emanates from those discussions as well, from both the COVID-19 committee and also the business economic cluster committee, which deal with COVID-19. I was informed that as a municipality, we're quite ready, but the plan is going to be presented here. But the truth of the matter is the numbers really are worrying, and a lot need to happen. That includes maybe to have our staff members on standby when they are required, because in fact, everybody must be on standby. When we call upon some of the staff members, even when we call upon the councillors during the festives, I will love that everybody avail themselves, so that, because we are at war, COVID-19 requires us to wear the war regalia. The other thing that I want to speak of, because some of these matters are on the agenda, is the issue of Olweni project. There are families that have been relocated into the DRA, and thanks to the ward councillor, Councillor Machila, and the committee members of community members as well, and the committee that was set, housing committee in that area, the HOD and the rest of housing officials. I'm told that those that have occupied the houses in the DRA are already happy, but there's still a lot that needs to be done. This will require that we monitor the situation around that area. As we relocate and remove people, we need to develop our own new strategies. Yes, there is a plan that will be presented, but I think I just wanted to report. The other issue on the Olweni project is when will the contractor be on site has been an issue that that community has been asking. There has been an objection by one of the bidders, and then the municipal manager had to follow the necessary processes. And then he said to me he appointed an appeal committee that will look at the objection. And probably within this week, we will get an answer from that committee, so that we can be able to convey the same to the community, because that community has been asking, when will this contractor be appointed? And I requested our official not to treat this matter as just a matter that is considered under normal situation, because the situation in that community or in that area is a dire situation. So we need to try and speed it up. The municipal manager promised me that they will be able to try and assist that. The other issue was the 16 days of activism. Some of those activities were properly planned, but unfortunately, due to the scourge of COVID-19, I have requested that we should not continue with those events as normally planned or as planned. So the 16 days of activism will have to be reviewed, and some of the activities around it will need to properly comply, because our people are confronted with this virus. Lastly, Speaker, is the issue of, you remember we've been having a partnership with the Department of Correctional Services. On a yearly basis, we've been asking them to assist to identify certain families or certain community-based facilities for them to come and help us. They've been doing that over the years. We help a number of people rebuilding their houses, creches. This year there is a house that also they assisted us with because they've got the manpower and expertise. So the inmates actually are the ones that are doing the work. So this year we will be giving a house. I'm informed that the department has requested that there is a minister, deputy minister, that will be coming from Correctional Services into our town when we're doing that handover. But that program will be communicated. But the important thing is that they want to formalize that kind of a relationship. They want us to enter into a memorandum of agreement with them so that they can continue to do the same. So I've got the copy of the agreement here, but unfortunately it came at a late, very late, and it requires to go via our legal department. But if council might allow, we can actually, if the officials are happy with it, we can circulate it to the councillors and they read it and if they are happy with it, then we can sign it. Then I can report on it in the next council meeting. But if council might agree that we should continue with this kind of an agreement, we can formalize it and ask the officials to sign it because it's very important for the town. All in all, Speaker, is just also to say I can see that councillors might go on recess. Is just to say to councillors, thank you very much for the year. And I wish you all the best during the festive season, you and your families, including our staff members as well. But I'm requesting that everybody must be on guard. I've seen the item that there are certain delegated powers to me over the festive season. In exercising some of those powers this year, I will need also your vigilance as councillors because this virus is not really killing these days. And it's more than what was there before in March during the lockdown. It's getting worse. Our numbers have never been like this in the first phase. The death was not like this in the country, but now you can see the numbers are increasing and the death is increasing. And we don't want services to be hampered. If council might have to avail a budget, I will have to call a council meeting because I don't know what might be the issue, but I just need your vigilance as councillors and our staff members. I wish everybody a successful and happy festive season. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Executive Mayor. I concur with everything that you said, especially around the coronavirus. We are going to go into a very tough time within the next month or two. The virus is really, I can't say it's out of control, but it's much worse than it was prior to 3 weeks ago, I would guess. And we need to be very vigilant as far as that is concerned. I would just like to request Council if I could add one item on the agenda. It's an item that we dealt with previously. We just need a council resolution, a renewed council resolution on it. I have a letter that I received this morning from Mr. Courtney Simpson from the IEC, requesting us to just give them an updated council resolution on the appointment of the MEO. I know we took a resolution when we appointed Mr. Lonwabu Ngotko as MM. Then it's about 2 years ago. So I would like to, I've asked the administration to give me an item number on this. It will have an item number in any case from previously. Just that we could update this council resolution because they need it. Councillor Bali.
Thanks, Speaker. Just on two things. The Executive Mayor requested something that support from Council, in particular with regard to an MEO that has to be entered into with the Correctional Service. And I would like us to, if that can be put and be given what you call a number, so that in principle we agree with the Executive Mayor until the actual MEO is cleaned out in its legality, and that the Executive Mayor be given that responsibility to deal with it. Because this is our last council meeting until the 8th, so I'm just worried that we don't deal with it and then we leave his statement unattended. So I just wanted us to agree on that one. The second one, yes, you're right. On the MEO, we did take a resolution to appoint the municipal manager, but unfortunately at the time, IEC said they do not want to disturb the changes with Mr. Friedman at the time, who was already in charge of being an MEO. So I think it's just to confirm that resolution that we have taken. I don't see any problems with that.
Thank you very much. I will request the acting MM, if we could give the item, then let's call it normalizing or formalizing our relationship with the Department of Correctional Services by signing a memorandum of agreement with the Deputy Minister of Correctional Services. Something to that effect, and we can just give it an item number. And then we will deal with that under, I don't know which section, section 1, under section 1. Thank you for that. So that's the two items we will be reading into the, on the agenda. If I can move then to item number 6. Presentations. I am not going to. Can
Sorry,
I?
Speaker.
Talking.
Speaker.
Yes, Councillor Kamkam.
Speaker, I spoke to you during the week, and you said you're going to grant me an opportunity.
Oh, yes. Sorry, Councillor Kamkam. Thank you for reminding me. I promised that I would give the Chairman of MPAC an opportunity. She have challenges, or the committee have challenges with the administration regarding the MPAC report. Councillors will remember that we've been waiting for a report from MPAC for quite a while. But I think Councillor Kamkam would be in a better position to explain to us. I will put the item under item 6, Councillor Kamkam.
No problem. Noted, Speaker. Noted.
Under presentations, I'm giving over to you to inform Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. As you know, when we started out, we had to deal with a backlog. So we had to start dealing with the regular expenditure report from the 2015-2016 financial years. And we, as you know, we have been constituted to actually investigate whether it is fit for council to recover monies that has been listed under the irregular and fruitless wasteful expenditure. And before we can make our recommendations to council, we need to consider what actions has been put in place to actually stop this type of reoccurrence. Now, as we all know that if we look at our regular expenditure report, most of the issues
Councillor Kamkam?
Yes.
Councillor Kamkam?
Can you hear me?
For us, you are recorded perfectly on the system.
Okay.
But us sitting in the chambers can't hear you that well because we have windows open for obvious reasons.
Okay.
Is it possible, and that goes to everybody that's going to make an input that are virtually, to speak as closely as possible to your computer mic so that the audio can be better for us on this side, if you don't mind. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me now, speaker? Hello?
You can speak louder, even better.
Okay. Is it better now?
Thank you very much, Councillor.
Okay. So basically what I've said is that, as we all know, when we started out, we had to deal with a backlog. So we had to start with the 2015-2016 irregular expenditure report. I also mentioned to council that we investigate whether it's possible for council, as we all know, to recover the expenditure that was incurred during financial misconduct or during irregular expenditure. We all know that MPEC, we are not in a position to investigate issues of financial misconduct, but we only simply can, after following a proper investigation, recommend to council whether council can write off the expenditure or whether further action is needed in terms of investigation. Now, Speaker, as we all know, we've lost about 6 months this year, and we started working in July already to get the reports from the responsible Section 56 managers as well as the accounting officer. And Speaker, it has been quite a challenge for us to actually be able to table a report at this council meeting. Now, Speaker, there's a couple of issues that are very urgent. One is that we have learned that an investigator has been appointed to actually investigate the irregular expenditure, and we as MPEC have received a report, and we need to table that report to council urgently. So hence, that's why we requested that we have a special council meeting, preferably on the 4th of December or before we go on recess on the 8th of December, Speaker, so that we can table the investigation report. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Kamkam. I neglected to call Councillor Van Reijnen. I see Councillor Van Reijnen is also present. Welcome, Councillor.
Morning, Speaker. Morning, everybody.
Councillor Van Vogel, is your sound still gone? Councillor Van Vogel? I see she's not with us. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully she will respond to that. Thank you, Councillor Kamkam. Is there any input from councillors on the presentation on the MPEG report? Yeah, if there is none, the report will be noted, and I will be speaking to Councillor Kamkam on the issue of a special council meeting, knowing that this is our last council meeting for the year. Thank you very much. Can we then proceed? And we will be dealing with our next item, which is item 7. items for information that was dealt with by the Executive Mayor under his delegated authority. Can I get input from councillors? Can I get a motion for adoption, or Councillor Mbali propose adoption of the resolutions of the Executive Mayor? Taking note of that.
Taking note.
Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Machila. Item number 8, consideration of reports, non-delegated matters. We have a schedule of items attached under the portfolio of index, and we'll be starting with section 1, Office of the Municipal Manager. Let me just see. We will enter item C1190-1120. Under that item, under this section, that's the item that deals with the Department of Correctional Services entering into a memorandum of agreement with them on that. Our first item under section 1 is item C183/11/20, Bitou Municipality, 4th quarter, which is from April until June 2020, service delivery and budget implementation report on the performance of the current financial year. You will find the item on page 31 till 38. The item is serving. Councillor Mbali.
Thank you, Speaker. We go to recommendation by the Executive Mayor.
There's a proposal. We go with a recommendation by the Executive Mayor.
Seconded.
And there's a seconder to that effect. I see, can you hear somebody's hand?
Speaker, I had my hand up.
Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. I just wanted to make comment on the amount of red items. I think we really need to make an effort to ensure that we at least are closing off and getting things completed. I do know I realize that quarter 3 was the beginning of the lockdown, and when we were in lockdown. But some of the items are even below 50%, and I think we really need to make an effort to make sure that there are less red items that are not being achieved.
Thank you, Councillor Swart. We concur with that. The item has been duly proposed and seconded. If there's no further input, the item carried. Next item is item C/1/184/11/20. The deals with the appointment of 2 additional audit committee members. We had 1 member passing away and 1 member reaching his term of office. You will find the item on page 39 until 45. Item is serving. Who is that?
That's my hand, Speaker. Yeah.
Yes. Talk to us, Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to make it known, I don't know if it has bearing at all, but I'd rather disclose and not disclose things, but one of these members is known to me, and is someone that I've known for a number of years, but it shouldn't have any bearing on the decision, but I just wanted to put that on record so that Council is aware of that.
That's not a problem. You were not part of the interviewing committee, Councillor Swart, so that should not be a problem, and he's not a family member.
No, it's not a family member.
Thank you for informing us. Do you like to talk on the recommendation?
I will propose. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Proposed by Councillor Swart. Is there a seconder?
I second, Speaker.
Seconded by Councillor Mbali. Thank you very much. If we can then deal with the next item, which is item C/1/185/11/20, the Audit and Performance Audit Committee report for the 6 months ending 30th of June 2020. The report you can find on page 46 until 55. Item is serving. Councillor Mbali.
Thanks, Speaker. We go with the recommendation by the Executive Mayor.
Speaker.
Councillor Mbali propose we go with the recommendation by the Executive Mayor.
Speaker, sorry.
Councillors Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. Sorry, Speaker, I've got a problem with my sound, but can you hear me now?
We can hear you, thank you.
Okay, Speaker. Speaker, this report obviously tells us what we already know. And many of our problems that we have, it actually requires very little to rectify, especially when it comes to the systems of internal control. And we have requested, we know we've got a challenge in terms of consequence management, and we also know that the standard operating procedure for consequence management has not yet been, is not in progress yet. So that is also part of the reason why we are struggling. I know it has been pointed out that we currently have an acting director corporate services, so the position is still not filled on a permanent basis. But I would request council that we make that sort of recommendation, especially it has been pointed out by the Audit and Performance Committee quite a number of times, that we make that a priority, Speaker, to develop our standing operating procedure on consequence management. And then, Speaker, I also want to raise the issue of the fact that our debtors collection is below 84%. I think we have requested as a council in our previous council meeting that we have suggested various ways that we can actually enhance this. And we have to realize that we as a council have never said that we must relax our creditors control. We simply said we need to look at the issue of affordability. We need to look at the issue of our debtors book. And we also need to look at the issue of, obviously going hand in hand with the debtors book, the issue of the historical debt and having debt settlements in place. And we also said, Speaker, we need to look at our revenue section, how we can actually strengthen that and give the necessary support, because we all realize that if we don't strengthen the department and if we don't give them the necessary support that they need, we might end up in trouble, because revenue enhancement is also one of the important things that council should focus on. Speaker, once again, I would like to stress the importance of council granting us a special council meeting, because some of these issues will be addressed in that meeting. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kamkam. Noted. I had Councillor Machila's hand up for seconding the proposal for adoption by Councillor Mbali. If there's no further input, the resolutions from the Executive Mayor is carried in into a council resolution. We can then move over to our next item, which is item C/1/186/11/20. And it deals with the ratepayers and the Residents Association court case against Bitou Municipality with regard to the use of vehicles for the use of the Executive Mayor and Deputy Executive Mayor. Normally these items are under in committee. I don't know why this one is here, but it's okay. It's here now. And you will find the item on page 56 until 61. Item serves.
Thanks, Speaker. No, this one, Speaker, doesn't need to be in committee. It's a public and an open issue, and which the public is aware of, and it has no bearing to human beings that has to deal with the matter. But be as it may, Speaker, I'm not going to waste my breath on this item. I think the Executive Mayor spoke in length on this particular item in the Mayoral Committee meeting. We will go with the recommendation by the Executive Mayor, but safe to say that we will continue to be litigated. We will continue to get these frivolous actions. And we will continue to have wasteful expenditure because at times we are forced, not of our own making, but because of these frivolous actions from some people who think they are better than the others. We will go with the recommendation by the Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mbali. Executive Mayor.
Thank you. Speaker, I just want to first understand, is there not a code of conduct that guides the Ratepayers Association attitude towards government, municipality, or the public? Because I'm not sure, Speaker, the language they are using, on one hand, they've insulted. There are insults and racist comments, undermining, where you will be labeled as incompetent and all of those. Now, if we might respond to say, are we allowed that? Because we've been quiet, I've been quiet, and it doesn't stop. If I can use the very same racist words that they're using, all those words that are insulting, will that be allowed? Because there's a code of conduct that I believe guides us. Is there any code of conduct that guides them? If you look at the judgment, Speaker, I'm not sure if you've read it. The judge actually identified them, their language. It's really not a language that should have been communicated by an organization like that. And everybody, when they get insulted and get attacked like that, they've got a right to respond. Now, if we respond in such language, will it help the situation? I'm raising this because so that I can be able to advise as councillors. Shouldn't we rather get a legal person to really check the relationship between the municipality and the Ratepayers Association and their attitude towards us, and what rights do we have? Because at times I feel like they are playing politics. But unfortunately, you will say that organization is not a political party. But at times they do. I am not sure whether is there any ways in law that we can investigate the conduct of the Ratepayers Association. This judgment itself confirms that that the council was sober when it took the decision. Our officials did their best. But what happened? We were ridiculed, everything was just said, and the judge picked that up. And we supposed at one stage to say, let's investigate this conduct and appoint an independent person to investigate it. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. I feel you'll be just wasting more money of this municipality, Mr. Mayor. The Plettenberg Bay Ratepayers and Residents Association is long not a residents association anymore. They've become a political party. With the previous, I don't know about you, but since I became Speaker, I have attempted to have meetings with the previous chairperson, Mr. What is his name again? Which one? Neville Peterson. Neville Peterson. We had a couple of attempts, and every time it was cancelled on his request. To just sit around the table as council now, I'm not talking about you as the mayor, but as council, so that we can see how we can somehow have an open discussion with them. As far as I know, as far as I have been here in this municipality since 2016, we've never had a meeting with the ratepayers. I don't know if they're not interested, and I'm not used to that. I've been a councillor before that for 15 years, and we had regular engagements with the ratepayers. They invite council, be it the mayor or the speaker, to their AGMs, and they give council an opportunity to make an input at those AGMs in the past. Since the last 5 years, I don't know what happened to them. They invite you there, you get insulted, and you don't have an opportunity to say anything. So I didn't go after the last one that I was invited when I was not deputy mayor. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know Mr. Gaylord, but I would be embarrassed if I'm them. They think they are the council. They must stand for election, and then they can take decisions that they think they can take now. Other than that, Mr. Mayor, I will ignore them. They show to themselves what their childish behavior, and their so-called members out there see that as well. So don't worry too much about them. You will waste money if you take them to court. They are an NGO, and if you want to give them strong words, you can do it here and in the council, and you are protected for that. Councillor Machila.
Yes, I wanted to recommendations.
Thank you very much. There's a proposal that we go with the recommendations proposed by Councillor Mbali. Thank you very much. If we can then move to the next item on our agenda, item C/189/11/20, and that deals with the appointment of MEO. Do you have the item there in front of you? Yes. There is recommendations by the municipal manager. Shall we go with the recommendations?
What recommendation is it?
Thank you, Councillor Mbali. Mr. Groenewald.
Speaker, if you'll allow me, I'll just check on my computer. On the 29th of March 2019, Council took a resolution.
Yes.
That our current MM should be appointed. We approached the IEC on the 17th of April. They could not accommodate that request. On the 6th of November, I informed the IEC that Mr. Friedman has resigned. On the 9th of November, they acknowledged receipt of our application. They requested the CV, a copy of the CV, the ID, the income tax, and bank confirmation of the municipal manager. On the 11th of November, the request of the IEC was forwarded to the office of the MM. He fell ill on the 13th. On the 24th of November, I was again informed, or I was then for the first time informed from the IEC that by means of an email from Courtney Sampson, that they also request a resignation letter of Mr. Friedman, the current MEO. On the 25th of November, I wrote a letter which was endorsed by the acting MM, and we mailed it to Mr. Friedman. So we're waiting for him to resign.
Now you explain now so nicely chronologically. Now let me continue. Today, I got a letter from Mr. Simpson requesting us to do what I've put on the agenda for today. That's the latest. He requests that the letter reads, I can read it in for record purposes, the term of Mr. Friedman as municipal electoral officer for Bitou Municipality will be terminated by the end of November 2020. His position as employee of Bitou Municipality ended at the end of October 2020. Council must now pass a current formal resolution at the council meeting, which is today. This resolution must indicate the name of the senior employee, in this instance Advocate Ngoko, in the municipality, which it will suggest as MEO. This resolution, together with the current CV, ID, and text confirmation letter for the proposed candidate, must be sent to the Office of the Provincial Electoral Officer of the Western Cape. A recommendation will then be made to the Commission, who will appoint the MEO municipality. The MEO is responsible to the PEO. If you need any further information, please do not hesitate to contact the PEO. This is current. This is what we're doing now. I'm not interested in what happened with previously. We need to take this resolution today. I think, are you happy with what is there in front of us, Mr. Schoenewald, as a resolution?
Thank you, Speaker. No, I was not aware of the contents of the letter because, as I said, on the 24th of November,
yes,
that is
all done, all sorted out, all sorted out. Thank you very much. I saw, I could hear somebody.
Speaker.
Yes, who's that?
Speaker, it's Councillor Nell.
Yes, Councillor Nell.
May I request that the letter from the IEC be displayed on the screen, please?
May you do what?
Request that the letter from the IEC that you refer to be displayed on the screen so that we can just appraise ourselves of what it says.
It's on the email. No, he's requesting the letter from IEC to be put up on the screen, but it's on the email. It was sent to all councillors.
Yeah, I can send you a copy if needs be. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Speaker, they can also read on the email. It's there.
Yeah, I don't know if each of all the councillors got emails, but it was addressed to me. Yeah. All right. There is the recommendations proposed. Shall we go with the recommendations? Councillor Machila proposed. Is there a seconder? Did you propose already? Okay.
Seconded, Mr. Speaker.
Seconded by Councillor Machila. Who is speaking?
It's Councillor says seconded, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, okay. Yes, Councillor Sesi?
Seconded, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, thank you very much.
Speaker.
Yes, Councillor Nell?
I want to record the DA's vote against this resolution.
Councillor Nell wants to record the DA's vote against the resolution. I suggest it's okay. But please read the rules of order for next time. Councillor Nell. Yes?
To get the reason when people vote against something.
Yes, that's why I'm saying Councillor should read the rules.
I can expand, Speaker, I can expand. Speaker, the information we have is that the MEO does not need to be a municipal official. Mr. Friedman is an MEO and he is still in Bitou and he need not be replaced.
Yeah, we will record your vote against it, Councillor Nell. Thank you very much. Next item, it's item C/190/11/20. The item deals with the Correctional Services Department entering into an MEO with Bitou Municipality in order for the two entities to formalize their relationship, which, Mr. Mayor, how long has it been since you came to office? Since 2017, this relationship with the correction services? Yeah, the signing of a memorandum of understanding. Item is serving.
I go with the recommendation.
Thank you very much. There's a proposal by Councillor Mbali. We go with the recommendations. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Machila.
Mr. Speaker, can you just mention that it's a verbally reported?
Yes, it is a verbal report. A formal memorandum of understanding will be tabled at the next council meeting. We take note, and we don't have a problem in principle. Thank you very much. If we can move then to our next section, which is finance. We will be dealing with item C/2/204/11/20, report on unauthorized expenditure for the first quarter ending 30th September 2020. And you will find the item on page 63 to 67. Item is serving. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, this is a report that we get on a regular basis, and as we know, each time we get a new report, our outstanding debt situation is worse. And from over the last 2 months, we've had a lot of notices being sent out to people regarding outstanding debt from a service provider that we're using to collect outstandings. And this has brought a number of things to light regarding our internal controls. And that's also something that was highlighted in the auditor's report, that these controls are not very good and sometimes not adhered to. And 3 items that came to my attention in the last 2 weeks, with some ratepayers having not received accounts for years, one last receiving an account in 2009, and now suddenly they can find him and he gets an account. And it just makes me wonder what is happening in terms of the outstanding accounts. Are they looked at individually? Because how can people go for years without getting an account, and then suddenly the municipality can find them when it's handed over?
Point of order, Councillor Swart, just a point of order, Councillor Bali.
I'm finding it difficult, Speaker, through you, Councillor Dave. I think you are in the next item. We are currently on an unauthorized expenditure, not on the other report which you're referring to. So I'm finding it difficult, Speaker, to get where Councillor Swart is trying to go.
Maybe
I think what is addressing now needs to be addressed in the next item, which is following.
Sorry, Councillor Mbali is correct. I was looking at my agenda that I'm running on the screen concurrent to this and hadn't noticed this one. My apologies, Speaker.
You were ahead of yourself a little bit. No problem, Councillor Swart. The item on unauthorized expenditure for the first 6 months ending, for the quarter ending 30th of September 2020 is serving. Councillor Mbali.
Thank you, Speaker. We go with the recommendations.
There's a proposal. We go with the recommendations. There are a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Machila. Item is duly proposed and seconded, so the item is carrying. Recommendations. Next item, it's item C/2/205/11/20, the outstanding debt report for September 2020, which is the first quarter. You will find the item on page 68 up to 79. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. I think I've caught up with myself now. Just to carry on with what I was saying, there's a number of ratepayers who've now received accounts for the first time, and the accounts are in fact years old. And it makes me wonder what is happening with our systems that we've got in place where we should have been picking up on this before now. And we have also found that in a lot of cases, accounts are not being paid, especially in the communities, because of affordability. Now, suggestions have been made regards possible rebates to be looked at to make accounts more affordable, which would help to reduce the outstanding debt. And also, we need to start ensuring that people are getting their accounts, because a lot of people obviously do not seem to be getting their accounts. It's also the case of incorrect billing and incorrect accounts being sent out in terms of accuracy of meter readings or meters not being read. And then when a meter is not read, in the next month, it's billed through as 1 month's usage instead of it being averaged out over the period. So there's a number of controls that we seem to not have in place that is also causing outstanding debt to increase and to be as high as it is. And a lot of these have been reported in the Audit Committee report. So I think it's time that we actually sit down and look at our systems and ensure that we get the correct billing out and that we do get the correct accounts to people and that we actually do get the accounts to people. So yes, I realize we still got the prescribed debt report that will be submitted to council, but I think a lot of our internal controls would be able to prevent the debt increasing, and then we should actually start recovering some of our debt. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Swart. Councillor Mbali.
Thank you, Speaker. I think what Councillor Swart, Speaker, is raising is what we've discussed, I think, in a previous council meeting. And then in one of our meetings, which I held as an MMC with them, the councillors. And when we look at the various issues, including how do we manage the debtors book which we currently have, and one clearly could tell is historic. And I've listened and read in some newspapers or articles by ratepayers, is as if it ballooned now in this financial year or in this previous year or during COVID, which is not the case. One of the areas that which I want to agree with Councillor Dave is the issue of how to make sure that billing is done correctly and that systems are in place where we think there are incorrect systems that are being used. Or is it the issue of capacity, as Councillor Kamkam raised earlier on? How do we close that particular gap? But the reality of the matter, the prescribed debt will also assist us to check as to where we are and where we come from and where is this particular debt coming from. And go over, Speaker, to make sure that our data is properly cleansed, because it will be a challenge that you find one ERF is having 3 accounts. And in that particular ERF, the owner is no longer the owner that has incurred that particular debt. Or sometimes you don't find an owner in a particular ERF. Somebody else is there. In certain instances, you'll find that a debt which was supposed to be paid by a person is in fact incorrect. So that requires a proper data cleansing. And once we do that, it will tell us exactly what is going to happen and what is happening. So I think one of the areas I think the CFO needs to look at, one, as much as we had to look at the issues of controls, but we also need to look at our data. Because if we don't look at our data, we will continue to have these problems. And they have told us, Speaker, that while there were this item of prescribed debt was supposed to serve in this council meeting, they realized that in the system which we are using, they could not access all the data. So they will have to ask the service provider, which is Samras, to get into that system and get the full master file. And that master file will have to be looked at and make sure that the data of that file is properly cleansed so that the collection is done to the right people and to the right accounts. And I agree with Councillor Dave. These are the areas that we really need to look into and make sure that we've got a proper data as a municipality. One of the key areas, therefore, is to make sure that data cleansing is done and that correct billing, like Councillor Makila once raised, that certain areas in Pine were not really built, and also in the new houses, we will find those situations. So it's not something that we are not looking into. It's something that we definitely looking into. Therefore, I will just add that in the resolution, perhaps 4, that we look into the data cleansing as a municipality. Thank you very much, Speaker. I will go with the recommendation by the ZFMA.
Thank you, Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, with all due respect, we have had these discussions before. And I was under the impression that at this council meeting, the report will serve, but it's clearly not the case. I just want to remind council that these matters it's very urgent and we need to treat them in such a way, Speaker. As we speak, yes, we understand that we need to enforce our credit control policy, but we also need to understand that we need to come up with solutions fast if we see there's challenges. It's not something that we can basically drag our feet with, Speaker. We have situations where people have been put on restrictions for more than 2 months. They will never be able to meet the repayment as required by us because of the prescribed debt, Speaker. And we simply are taking our time to resolve these issues. And Speaker, it has been a tough year for people. Some of the people, they are really struggling, Speaker. And it's just extra pressure on them at this time of the year. I mean, our municipal official, Speaker, we just received our bonuses. We have not been affected by the coronaviruses in terms of our employment, but we need to understand. For some people, this is an issue, a bread and butter issue. This is the difference between having food on the table or not having food in the table. You know, if people don't qualify for indigent, we need to look at our credit control. We need to look at what systems we're going to put in place to make it affordable for them, Speaker. And also we need to address the issue of the historical debt as soon as we can. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Kamkam. Executive Mayor.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I listened to the portfolio chair. But if you look at the matter, it's been coming. And it's quite embarrassing these days because you get emails from people who are complaining. You remember when I asked that to the previous CFO, we said we are not bad. We are doing very well. Maybe it's about 300 complaints. I said we've got the right to question. I don't think the policies that were approved by council are bad. I think the worst part is management of the section. We might discuss the issue of a date. But the question is, are the officials willing to change the current situation in that section? I don't think so, because it's been coming for quite some time. The easy part is just to go and cut off services. That's what we are best at. There are monies that, this thing is destroying our reputation as a municipality. We get insult as a municipality and as council. This month, next month, the next year, our billing system also is discouraging. Not just is destroying our reputation and brand as a municipality, but also it's discouraging people from paying. Because if I'm having this problem, I cannot go and pay until you resolve my problem. And then when you fail to resolve my problem, the only thing that I come with is punitive. I punish you, I cut off your electricity, I cut off your water. Whilst on the other hand, I am the one who is the cause of that. I've seen very interesting emails where people will forward their accounts and say, look, I've paid this. Correct, it says Councillor Mbane is saying it's 3. Even if it's 3 or so, the management should have identified that. To me, if we've got arrogant management, staff members who don't care, we will still going to discuss this thing tomorrow and the next week because there is no consequences. Let's put targets for 3 months. If those targets are not met within that 3 months, then there should be consequences. It can't drag and drag and drag and drag forever. Because I know officials sometimes they protect each other. Mine is to suggest that let's identify portfolio challenges. The management must say, I can be able to improve the issue of billing in the next 3 months. So that we know in the next 3-4 months, for the 4th month, we don't get such complaints. And all the current problems that are existing now, all the complaints that are there, they need to answer them. Some people have been inquiring for more than 6 months for their statement, account to be corrected. 6 months passed, nothing has happened, no consequences. Ropex Seafood has employed so many people. They complained almost for 8 months. I'm not sure if that account was resolved. There are businesses that have been complaining. When you do that with business, it impacts on the issues of jobs, the relationship between the government and businesses, let alone our community members who are in Johannesburg and other areas. You need to have special attention to such people as well. So I'm a bit worried about the behavior and conduct of management in that section, and think there should be target. They should start to clear out all the outstanding or the quick complaints that are there already, Councillor Mbane. As part of cleansing that, they must also clean in the next 3 months. We don't want to hear any complaints in the 4th month that has been coming for 6 months. If not, then the CFO must be able to deal with his staff. Because the CFO is the one that should be in charge of that. We can't just punish people once we could have also made money on the other side by not discouraging those who can pay. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. I also get lots of complaints. And I can guarantee you, Mr. Mayor, 90% or more of the complaints is about accounts. The little bit that I get, it's potholes in and around town. I don't know if the HOD engineering can hear. Potholes around town. And planning issues, the 10%. But the bulk of the complaints, people complaining about their accounts. And chairperson and acting CFO, it cannot be. That is where our money must come in. And if the customers are not happy about that, we seriously need to do something about it. It's becoming a joke. Councillor Mbali.
Thanks, Speaker. I think the executive mayor is touching now. If I were to be in details, I avoided to be in detail. The executive mayor is touching in exactly in the resolutions of the meeting which I held with councillors and the section of revenue collection in this particular case. The issue of looking at the prescribed historic debt came out of that meeting. The issue of us reviewing our policy and making sure that the policy is in line, it came out of that meeting. In fact, we went further to say, Speaker, that in the immediate, where people are affected with the drop system, the drop system and all of that, while the council as a legislature has not reviewed the policy, the municipal manager can and is able to sign a form with the account holder to make sure that they are not affected by this particular issue. And that's supposed to be done by the revenue manager together with the municipal manager. And one of the critical areas that we've identified was the lack of discipline in the revenue section. Secondly, we've identified that the revenue section also need more human resource, because we identified that there are certain areas that are not attended to. It's not only the issue of attending to accounts executive mayor. People who are applying for indigent are severely affected because there's nobody who's looking into it. It takes time, and we were shocked because we are one of the councillors that signed the indigent to come to us. We were shocked that we were having over 800 outstanding. And we said that cannot be. And you know, we had officials that had to look in those issues. And there's one official who is not necessarily appointed to look into this, but is working on it. So we've asked the CFO, who was part of that particular meeting, to look into these matters and make sure that these issues that need management must be dealt with. It's not issues that needs council resolution. We're bringing issues that needs council resolution because they had to deal with the policy and the council's authority. So that's why we're only talking about those particular areas. But the rest that requires management, issues of control, issues of discipline, the CFO was given a directive to make sure that there is consequence management, and that if need be, they need to look into the organogram to see if there is the issue of capacity and manpower in that area, what it is that council needs to do, and that must come to us. I think we've addressed those issues, and I think I agree with the timelines of 3 months to say CFO needs to look into this issue and make sure that those particular issues are addressed. But we can't avoid the issue of us being critical, being sure that we are taking the right decisions, making sure that data is properly cleansed, and that complaints are genuine complaints, because we can get 1,000 complaints and you only find that those complaints are not necessarily genuine. It's just people who want to drag their feet, who don't necessarily want to pay. But you get genuine complaints, people who really supposed to have been answered when we take time to answer them. You know, it can't be that you are sending an email and you don't respond to an email for a customer to understand that where is their issue and when it is going to be resolved. Those are the critical issues that we said the CFO needs to attend to. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Mbali. Can I get a seconder for the proposal by Councillor Mbali? Councillor Machila. That brings us to the end of this item, so the resolutions by the executive mayor will be carried. Next item is item C/2/206/11/20, approval of the cost containment policy. You will find the item on page 80 till 89, 98. Page 80 until 98. There's recommendations by the executive mayor. Councillor Mbali.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the committee sat and discussed that we will have thought that because in the previous council meeting we have requested a customer care workshop to be done on the 24th, but because of other schedules that could not happen. and our Mayco meeting only set on the 24th. And therefore, we have now, the Executive Mayor requested that this workshop be convened prior us closing, going to recess, which is now just before the 8th of December, so that the cost containment could be fully operational, because they are just areas that needs to be cleansed we believe it needs to be cleansed in the police, but in reality, council has to have this cost containment policy. Hence, we thought we are bringing to council to have that final determination.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. There won't be time for another workshop, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry. There is just no time for that. My understanding was this policy served in front of us previously, in front of council. We then referred it back for a workshop. We then requested councillors to be part of the workshop done by National Treasury in Salga. And then after that, the policy was going to get back to council. So, Councillor Bali, is a question of the officials cleansing that policy, or cleaning out that policy, and make it suitable for this municipality. If that was done, I see no reason why council should not approve the policy without having another workshop for it.
Speaker, the reality of the matter, we didn't have the workshop.
We had the workshop.
No,
we requested Salga and National Treasury to conduct the workshop for us.
Yeah. Speaker, the workshop which was done by Salga, and the recommendations or areas that are on this policy that is in front of us was not dealt. They dealt with the framework.
Yes.
So the reality of the matter, we're downgrading this to our own municipality. We have to have it, Speaker.
Yes. Hence,
avoiding to have that workshop is not going to assist. You might as well approve it, and then you find challenges because you didn't cleanse it properly.
Yeah, but you didn't listen what I was saying, Councillor Mbali. I said after the Salga workshop, the officials were supposed to formulate that framework into a policy for us, because nothing fundamentally is going to change. I'm trying to avoid the fact that we are wasting time on this policy, and it's an important policy. It's been more than a year that we have done nothing about it.
Speaker?
Yes, Councillor Kamkam.
Speaker, I think it's insulting that, this has been serving on council a number of times. Every time it comes to council and it's just for us to approve a resolution on a date for a workshop. This policy has been circulating, as you say, for more than a year. If any of us had issues with this policy, we were supposed to submit our issues, we were supposed to debate our issues, and then prior to the council meeting, submit our recommendations on what we need to be amended in this policy. Speaker, the majority of our fruitless and wasteful, actually our irregular expenditure, will be curbed if we approve this policy. I don't need to put emphasis on council, the problems that we had in the past with cost containment. And it is just not acceptable that we treat, once again, a matter of urgency like something that, we can put on the back burner. It's not good enough, Speaker. And unfortunately, we're going into recess. We're getting into the December time where there's all these events and festivals and all these other things that I'm not even sure what the resolution on that will be. That will open the gap again for people to abuse the system. At a council level, Speaker, now, we don't even have food or catering at council meetings any longer, because I assume we take cost containment seriously.
Councillor Kamkam, can you just repeat what you said the last sentence?
Speaker, I'm saying that unfortunately, if we drag our feet with this policy, the time that we are going into now is the time, if we look at our regular expenditure report, this time of the year is normally when it's open to abuse. the system, where people abuse the voucher system, where people abuse the restaurants, etc., etc., etc. And we are just about to look at our seasonal plan. So I don't think it's acceptable for us to drag our feet on this one. If any of us had problems with it, we were supposed to submit our suggestions.
Speaker.
Okay, yeah, councillors, can I really appeal or request you that we approve this policy at our next council meeting in January? Mr. Maredi, clean the policy out.
Speaker.
After the workshop from National Treasury and Salga, and circulate it to all councillors way before the next council meeting or the agenda for the next council meeting, so that we can approve this policy at the next council meeting in January. Councillor Nell?
Speaker, yes. Speaker, can I just support you in your initial opening statement about this item? And I just want to remind everybody that we were all, as councillors, given an opportunity to comment on this policy. And I commented at that time, and I remember that I said at that time that we should adopt the policy as it stands, with the changes that were suggested and made. I really believe that we should actually just approve this policy. I really believe that.
Thank you, Councillor Nell. So there won't be a workshop, unfortunately, Mr. Mayor, in December. It's just not possible. So can we then change that accommodation?
Speaker?
Yes?
Sorry, can I just come in
Councillor Olivier?
with my opinion on it? Speaker, I feel that we should approve the policy as it stands today. So I'm agreeing with my colleagues. We did go through the process of workshop, and I know what's in the policy. And essentially, there's not much that's going to change in it. So I feel we should approve the policy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Olivier. Can I request, Councillor Olivier, that the policy document just be changed to read Bitou and put everything that needs to be done with it, that we clean out the document and then bring it back to council? Can I have that request? January, we will approve it.
Speaker, I would like us to approve it today.
Especially those red parts in the document as well, that needs to be all cleaned out. We can't approve the document as is. Councillor Bali?
Speaker, Council is going to recess on the 8th of December. And the resolution of the recommendation says that it must be done before the 8th. I'm not sure, I don't understand why that will not happen.
Councillor Bali?
I support Councillor Bali, Speaker.
For a workshop.
And I support too, Speaker.
Yes. My view, you know, councillors, when we ask you for workshops, you don't attend workshops. There was 4 people, 4 councillors at that workshop organized by Salga and National Treasury, if that many. The rest of you were not interested. Now we must call another workshop. I'm talking very tough now. When you are requested to attend workshops, colleagues, please let us attend workshops.
Speaker, those who will be present will take the decision to clean the policy as required. Hence, I will say, Speaker, let us have it. We have already taken a resolution to have a workshop with customer care, and Council only goes to recess on the 8th of December, and I don't see why it shouldn't happen between now and the 8th, because we are here. We are not on holiday before that time. So that should happen. And then the policy then will be approved. We may approve the policy in principle subject that is cleansed, and then in January is confirmed as cleansed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Who is that, Councillor Kamkam?
Yes, Speaker, I support Councillor Mbali.
Okay.
I think, Speaker, we all support Councillor Mbali. We rather go with the.
Then I would like to make it clear, the office of the Speaker will not organize the workshop.
No, the MMC will. It's my responsibility.
Yes,
to do that.
you will organize that workshop and you will inform the councillors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, councillors. If we can then move to the next section, section 3. There's a seconded by Councillor Kamkam, yes. Thank you very much. I see somebody's hand. Who's that? Nobody. Item section 3, it's corporate services. We're going to item C/3/198, sorry, /11/20. Item C/3/198/11/20. And it deals with the report back on feedback received regarding the actioning of the mayoral and council resolutions and confirmed minutes. We ask most that the report be tabled quarterly on that. You will find this item on page 100 until 132. Thank you. Item is serving.
Speaker, thank you.
Councillor Mbali.
Speaker, we've in the Mayoral Committee we requested that resolutions should or must be monitored on a regular basis, and we were informed that some of these resolutions are outstanding resolutions from those who are supposed to be actioned, but there's been different views. But if one reads the report, you will find that there's quite a lot of gap in terms of feedback, and therefore does not give us any suggestion of what has happened and what has not happened. And I think yourself as a speaker who presides over resolutions needs to make sure that resolutions are actioned. Somebody needs to monitor that. The person in the municipal manager's office needs to make sure that the resolutions of council are actioned, and that we get those quarterly report on the resolutions that have been taken, so that we can feel that council resolutions are being taken serious. Because in the current situation, we don't feel that the resolutions are being taken seriously and then are being actioned. And then the results of that, because we will sit here and then communicate with our public and say we've resolved in this particular matter and there's no action. It's like we have not done anything. So hence we deliberated on those directions. We'll go with the recommendation by the executive mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mbali. I take note of that. It's a serious matter, Acting MM. If a council resolution is not implemented, it's not just something by the wayside. Officials and the municipal managers specifically can be charged for that. This municipality, this council is an authority. We were given by law authority to take certain decisions. If you don't implement those decisions, it's a serious matter that needs to be really taken serious of. Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Mbali. Is there a seconder for the recommendations? Thank you. Councillor Machila. If we can then move on to the next item. Item C3, 199/11/20. Schedule of meetings for councillors for the 2020 year, as well as portfolio committee and mayoral committee meetings. You will find the item on page 133 to 137. Salga has been requesting me for this schedule, so if council can approve it. There's just one mistake on the schedule. You will find the mistake on the schedule itself, the last meeting. It says the 17th of the 11th, 2021. It should be the 17th of the 12th, 2021. That'll be the last council meeting. Item is 7. You hear them complaining about another meeting for the 8th, Councillor Mr. Ludov Girika. So yeah, councillors wants to meet. There's a schedule. It's up to them to decide if they're going to meet in December 17th or not. Councillor Bali?
We're going to with the recommendations.
Thank you very much. There's a proposal. We go with the recommendations with that little change. Then it's seconded by Councillor Machila. Ms. Kamkam? Jansen, Mrs. Jansen, what is the problem? You don't want to meet that time. Luckily, it's not up to you. Thank you very much. Next item, it's item C, stroke 3, stroke 200, stroke 11, stroke 20. Quarterly report on human resource management for the period 1st of July until the 30th of September 2020. The report you will find on page 138 up to 155. Item is serving. Who is that?
It's me, Speaker.
Talk to me.
Speaker, I'm just a bit concerned about what I'd consider probably key positions that become vacant when people are going on retirement, and it seems as if nothing's yet been done to replace them. And I refer specifically to the roads manager who retired and then was appointed as acting for a while, and that has also now come to an end. And you know, you mentioned potholes earlier in one of your comments, and you know it's become apparent in working with the roads manager that a lot of planning goes into the maintenance of our roads with a limited budget. So it's important for there to be someone in that position that is doing this and monitoring what is going on, so that we can have things done when they should be. So this worries me when the plans aren't made. I mean, we must have known he was going on retirement and that we need to find a replacement, as with other people that either move on or retire. And then also something else that I also notice in terms of disciplinary actions. We've had comments in the auditor report about consequence management, and we've seen in the previous council meeting irregular expenditure with a lot of irregular expenditure around fencing, but yet you don't see any disciplinary action taking place and happening for people that are incurring these irregular expenditures. So if we're not following up on things like that and taking the necessary action, we're not going to stop the things from happening. So it's just some concerns I wish to raise about this report.
Thank you, Councillor Swart. Councillor Bali.
Thank you, Speaker. I think, Speaker, Councillor Swart just raised the issue of agency. And you'll realize in the report also that came from the committee from engineering. It speaks about other vacancies that are service delivery and critical. The issue is about the urgency of making sure that these matters are filled. And I know for a fact that the example you have made, the manager roads has been advertised, and I'm sure shortlisting is already finished. I think it's about the issue of interviewing candidates and making sure that the position is filled. That's what we got. But there are other critical areas that are service delivery related that needs to be fast tracked and be filled. But also what we looked and found in the report. I'm not sure if the DM is still online. One of the critical areas, that's why we've asked a separate report. As we do these appointments, we need to really look into the issue of equity. Because you will read the report complains about the equity targets, but we also need to look directly as to section by section, what are the equity target and where are we in each and every section, so that we don't look on a horizontal level when it comes to issues of equity, but we look both horizontally and vertically in the institution, and then it gives us a bigger picture. As we said, we need to look at those so that as positions become vacant, we are able to resolve those particular issues without just being blindfolded. Because sometimes you'll pick up that certain races don't apply for a particular, positions that happens to be at a lower level, and then you will not find that particular race there in that area. Hence, gives a different picture in the institution generally of what is happening. But I think the issue of agency in filling up vacancies, the issue of consequence management, and I keep repeating, consequence management is a management matter and should not be construed into firing people. Because the manner in which it comes across when we speak about consequence management is like, when are you firing people? And councillors are not saying that. They are saying there must be actions so that their actions are corrected. That needs to be shown that is happening, and not be scared when we speak about consequence management as if we're talking about firing people. We're not talking about firing people. As a last resort in any institution in terms of discipline, but it's to make sure that controls and issues are managed properly. And with that, Speaker, I'll go with the recommendations. Thank you.
Executive Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Mali.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I think the report in future must also reflect on the health and safety matters. It became clear that some of our offices are not proper or safe for our staff members. I understand that we don't have offices as a municipality, but we rent space. But even if we choose to rent the space, we need at least to have a decency of making sure that our staff members are safe. I'm raising this because I received a report from the health and safety officer around the offices at Melville Spa, top there. Those offices, some of them, they don't have windows, nothing. Now the question is, during the specification for the office space, that official who was doing the specification on the committee that sat on that, how did they approve that space to be an office for people? I really need to know who are those officials and what was in their mind when they said people should stay in a, you can imagine, Speaker, when this council is closed and there's about 5 or 8 people every day, there's COVID-19 today, and those people are still staying in the offices, that have got no ventilation. How on earth would you enter into an agreement for such a space? The question is, well, how are you rectifying that? It cannot be forever that our staff members must stay like that. I wish, Speaker, that we must resolve as a council that maybe we should cancel that agreement, specifically for those unventilated office space. Cancel all those rooms that are not conducive for our staff members to stay. Cancel that contract. Get another space somewhere in town so that our staff members are safe. We don't know when this coronavirus will end. It might be here forever. But we can't accept a situation where people on a daily basis, they go to work, there's no ventilation, there's diseases around. Remember, it's not COVID-19 only. There's TB also in some cases. And there's no ventilation. I so wish that whoever was sitting in that tender committee should be embarrassed for putting our staff members in such space. And I so wish that such space must be cancelled with immediate effect, and we identify another building where our staff members can be safe, especially under the scourge of this virus. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That thing has been coming on for a long time. I've complained to Mr. Ndlovu already about that. The revenue section and the income section, I don't know how we can allow people to sit in a building like that. And that being a government building, by the way. It's just not on. No, we can't. We can't. Acting MM, you take note. You wanted to say something?
Mr. Mayor, I can only agree with, Mr. Speaker, I can only agree with the Mayor. I want to add LED as well. It's a terrible situation. I think what we will do is to submit my understanding is that the agreement is coming to an end. I'm not sure exactly when, but what we will do is to submit the full report to the council on the status of that building and the officials in January, early next year.
Thank you.
Speaker.
Yes.
Speaker.
There is a penalty that
I'm coming, Councillor Nell.
The Department of Labor, they can punish us and charge us. We don't have 100,000.
Not us, not us. The municipal manager. The municipal manager will get that punishment.
It can be more than that. If those guys go there tomorrow as Department of Labor, we will be charged, Speaker. We will be charged. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Nell?
Speaker, yes, I just want to comment on an item that Councillor Mbali raised, which is a very important item, and I want to support him 100% in that. And that is that consequence management does not mean that we are firing people. We should actually just implement consequence management. And we've raised this item, it came up in various previous items that we've dealt with today, and it comes up at every council meeting. Consequence management should be implemented and not necessarily to fire people. And that is where and this relates to also cascading down the performance management system down to the lower levels of management. And we should comply to that, Speaker. It is important that we implement consequence management and not necessarily looking at it as a system to fire people. It is to keep the discipline in the organization and to control. And I think we should really, really focus on that.
Thank you, Councillor Nell. There was a recommendation by Councillor Mbali proposed. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Machila. Can be done. That item carries then with all the input that was made, Mr. Gierke, for you to take to the municipal manager. If we can move to the next item, item C/3/201/11/20, the customer care section report for October 2020. You will find the report on page 156 until 242. Item is serving. Councillor Mbali.
Go with the recommendations, Speaker.
There's a proposal. We go with the recommendations. Councillor Swart, you second that?
Speaker, I would like to say something on this item.
Councillor Swart.
Okay, Speaker, yes, I'd also just like to say something on this item. I'm thankful that we're starting to get these reports, because obviously these reports need to highlight where we've got problems and where we can address them. But I also want to appeal to the other departments for their support in assisting customer care, because a lot of our ratepayers and people that are lodging complaints do so thinking that customer care is going to resolve the problem, not realizing it's other departments that actually do it. So when a complaint is not addressed, customer care gets the blame for it, and they say the customer care department is useless. And that is not the case. They're serving an important function, and I know that their function might be enhanced to include some other services. But they bear the brunt of other departments not attending to complaints. So I want to appeal to the managers of other departments to please close off complaints as soon as possible, or at least revert to the complainant with a reason why it's taking longer than normal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Swart. There was another councillor.
Councillor Olivier.
Councillor Olivier.
I'm also very grateful that I'm seeing this report, Speaker, but I want the people that wrote up this report, the person that wrote up the report, to just take note of some of the errors, because I noticed that the wards were wrong on some of the information. So just that for correction, please. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Olivier. Who is seconding the...
I will second it, Speaker.
Okay.
Who's that?
Councillor Swart.
Councillor Swart, thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Swart. We move then on to the next item, which is item C3203, 11th 20. And it deals with the closure of the municipal offices between Christmas and New Year. It happens on a yearly basis. You will find the item on page 246 up to 249. Item serves. Councillor Mbali.
This one deals with the recess. The next one deals with the...
This one deals with the recess, yeah.
Yes. I'm just correcting your highlight.
Yes.
We will go with the recommendation, the Speaker. I think the Executive Mayor in his opening did highlight that we need to be vigilant.
Yes.
And obviously, in consultation with us, he will be taking critical decisions.
Yeah, this one deals with the physical closure of the building, of the offices.
No.
Between Christmas.
That's the second one. We're on recess.
I jumped one. I jumped one. Sorry. I jumped.
That's why I was correcting your highlight.
Yeah, I've marked it off, ticked it off already, and I thought you dealt with it. Let me call it then out correctly, Councillor Mbali, for the record. We will deal now with item C/202/11/20, the Municipal Council recess and delegations to the Executive Mayor for the period 8 December 2020 until the 10th of January 2021. You will find the item on page 243 up to 245.
We'll go with recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Mbali, seconded by Councillor Machila. Thank you.
Speaker, may I say something to this item? Speak something to this item?
Councillor Olivier?
Speaker, through you, I just want to tell the Mayor he doesn't have to feel so alone anymore, because the new normal allow us to have a quick council meeting wherever we're sitting.
Wherever we are, yes. Yeah, he did indicate he will call on us. Thank you, Councillor Olivier. Next item, item C/3/203/11/20. Closure of the municipal offices between Christmas and New Year 2021. That's that week. Councillor Mbali?
We'll go with the recommendations, Speaker.
There's a proposal that we go with the recommendations. Is there a seconder? Councillor Machila. Thank you very much. Section 4. It's community services. Our first item there being item C/4/90/11/20. the review, repeal of the Housing Development Business Plan and establish an integrated, sustainable human settlement plan, ISHP. You will find the item on page 251 up to 253. Item is serving with recommendations from the Executive Mayor. Councillor Bali.
We'll go with the recommendation by the Executive Mayor.
There's a proposal that we go with the recommendations. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Machila.
Speaker.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. I'm not sure, Councillor Mbali, whether this is the item where we said it must be updated when it comes to council.
No, that's the next one.
That's the next one.
Yeah, there's another one.
All right.
And that update is here somewhere, yeah. That's to deal with the Bosjigov colony, what you call it, yeah. Thank you very much. Next item, it's item C/4/91/11/20, the establishment of a garden route district municipality food bank within Bitou Municipality. And you will find the item on page 254 up to 255. Item is serving.
Speaker.
Yes, Councillor Bali.
It should not have come with the precedents that we've already said. It should not have came because it has already been referred back.
It's been on the council agenda already before Maiko said visit. So
yeah.
Whatever is on council agenda, come to council.
Yes, but I'm saying this a precedent has already been set by yourselves. If it's referred back, it doesn't even come. But be that as it may, Speaker, I just want to put on record why we ask it to be referred back. We said as Bitou, we had already established our own food bank through the Methodist Church and all of that. And in so doing, we would like to have perhaps a person from the garden route or whoever is responsible to give us a presentation on this as to how is it going to function, the stakeholders that must be involved and all of that, so that there is no double dipping or confusion around the matter and the issue of its funding and how is it going to operate. So that because those areas are very gray and unclear to us. We appreciate the establishment of food banks, but I think it needs to be very clear so that we don't trample on each other's toes going forward. Hence we said we request a presentation and then it must come back to council. Thanks.
Shouldn't we then make it clear what it is that concerns us instead of just saying the item be referred back?
No, we must be presented. We must be given a full presentation, Speaker.
So we should request the district municipality to make a presentation on the food bank that they want to establish in Bitou to the Mayoral Committee. Okay, that's the resolution. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Machila. Next item is item C/492/11/20. And the item deals with a report to council regarding the proposed decanting plan, i.e. the removal and relocation of structures in the colony, Bosjigov and Pine Trees area. You will find the report on page 256 up to 268. And I think, Mr. Mayor, we need to take into account there is a revised report requested by yourself at Mayoral meeting. Item is serving.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, if I may just speak, one of the issues we've raised, what is this now? Oh, it's the background. One of the issues that we've raised in this one is that the Mayoral Committee already dealt with the issue of the plan and the planning when it comes to the issue of decanting. And also took a resolution in terms of the adjustment budget that has to deal with it. What we wanted to hear, and not because we've learned that the item is outdated and it's only speak to the plan that has already been dealt with. What we wanted to check, how far have we gone? One of the issues is there's the decanting started. What are the challenges? I think the mayor in his opening here, he raised and thanked the councillor on people who have already moved and so on. How far are we in making sure that those people are moved, and then there's a free space and the participation of communities? The issue of making sure that the decanting sites are done properly, the service providers are appointed, and also the concern which we had with regard to the main contractor, which was appointed with a period of 21 days that we were waiting for, and then we had that as an appeal. As how far are we with that? I think those are the critical information that the public wants to know, that council wants to know. Before we go to recess, we need to know what's happening on those areas. So hence we said, I think their report is an old report which was dealt with. It was unnecessary to come. We just needed a full update as to how far we are with regard to the actual work and the operations on the ground. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Mbali. Mr. Mayor, is that the full update that you were looking for?
Thank you, Speaker. I anticipate that during the recess, there might be a problem with regard to this matter of the monitoring of what is going on there on a daily basis, Councillor. Now that you have relocated people, we're supposed to demolish. The question is, over the festive season, I know people, will go somewhere to enjoy themselves and all of that. And there will be people who on a daily basis start to build in some of the areas or start to do the unexpected. So that might require that we need to have some kind of a plan to stop that from happening. I have not met with the officials yet and find out how can we stop this from happening. There was also a concern, Speaker, around the use of the municipal officials to relocate some of those women. As they are busy on a daily basis relocating families, there is a situation whereby they abandon their normal daily duties because now, especially them told that they are from Parks and Recreation. You know, Parks and Recreation at this time of the festive day, they are needed. Yeah, they must be at work. So there is that as well, Speaker, that we might be confronted with during this festival, where our staff members might not be able to go and help in that community, or else if they help there, they might, it might impact negatively on their daily duties. I just wanted to raise those two things, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I ask what is then done about that? I'm sure you are in contact with the municipal manager with regard to those concerns.
Speaker, I just want the officials to be honest to council. Because if I take a decision on what has been proposed and what are the things, there's various kind of advice on this matter. But some of them might require a budget. And then in your absence, when I start to spend money, which maybe council might not accept, it might be an issue with regard to some of this relocation. And I remember originally it was the main contractors, Councillor Mbali, that was supposed to relocate Some of this family, and that contractor is not yet appointed. And people are starting to be moved already by now. Yes, that's what I wanted to speak. There are plans, but they are not here as we speak, because
Yes.
I thought that they will be part of that so that council can deliberate on that.
I hear you. Councillor Machila?
Thanks, Speaker. Speaker, in the issue of parks.
Noted, Councillor Swart.
In the issue of parks that are assisting in the community for relocating, they were only asked for only those 32 beneficiaries, 35 beneficiaries that will be relocated to the TRAs. I even called in the public meeting first to address the issue so that when they see the parks guys come there with the municipal truck to relocate people, they must not fight. Then they understood that, you see, it was addressed on the meeting. But the challenge that I have now, the relocating has been done, the Speaker. But now the challenge that I have, the same people of Kolwezi are stealing the Wendy houses because the housing official don't demolish those Wendy houses. Because we said to them, the stakeholders meeting, as soon as you relocate a person in the Wendy house, you must make sure you demolish that Wendy house. But they did not do that. The rest of the Wendy houses were stolen there in Kolwezi. I have evidence. I reported to the CLO. He ignored me, and I tried to call Anton Fori. I did not get hold of him. I spoke to Onge, and I sent him the photos of the material that has been stolen in Kolwezi. But those materials are still there to those people that are stealing. I don't know what is going on in that department. There's a crisis in that department, Speaker. You see, but there's no management in that department, to be honest. Because if I report something, they don't take it serious.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Swart, and then I get to Mr. Sampani.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, we're focusing on moving the qualifiers, which is what we should be doing. But what concerns me is, as a municipality, we allocated the 5.9 million to move people, the non-qualifiers, off the site. And I don't see any plans and timelines for this, because even if we get the qualifiers off the site, the contractor is still going to have problems if he has still got non-qualifiers on the site. Now, I mean, that's the planning for that needs to have some definite timelines as well. And from what I can recall, in discussions that we've had in meetings that Councillor Tilia holds every week with the stakeholders, is the contractor is actually the one who is supposed to be moving the qualifiers, and I believe that is part of the contract. So if we are doing it as a municipality ourselves now, because the contractor has not been finally appointed because of the appeal, we're obviously incurring a cost which should actually have been the contractor's cost. Will we recover that from the contractor and at least put that money back into where it was intended to be used to move the non-qualifiers? So those are just some concerns in terms of where there's some information lacking in the report.
Thank you. I think you're just reiterating what the Mayor was saying. There should be a proper plan, and that plan should be communicated to us. Mr. Zampani, just before I give you an opportunity, I know there was an appeal on the tender process. And that process was supposed to be, final process was supposed to be adjudicated on the 20th of November. And somewhere in the report, it indicates that there was 2 people appointed. One of them had a death in the family. Now it can only be adjudicated today. Now I really hope that meeting has happened or it's currently happening. Because this is not, as the Mayor was indicating earlier on, Mr. Mayor, a normal situation. It's an extraordinary situation. And that person with the death in the family should have sat on the 20th, as far as I'm concerned, and adjudicated this thing. We don't have time for wasting on the Bosjika Koleni issue. We had a horrible time during about a month ago, or a little more than a month ago, where the town was locked down for 5 days. We cannot let that happen again. And the people, the contractors that were appointed, or the service providers, must know they must do their work first before they have other family issues. We cannot, they're not an employee that they must stay away, they can't do the work. They can't be one, there must be other people in their companies that can do the work. I think that must be made clear to them. When I read that, I was not happy with it. That cannot be. We've already wasted another week on that project. So please, when you report to us, indicate to us that that meeting is happening today or has happened already, because it's indicated on the 27th. Thank you, Mr. Sombani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think I must talk to you as if you don't know what's going on, for you to understand. The contract that has been awarded had a component of removing the qualifiers.
Yes.
But because it's not an appeal, it's an objection. Now, the contestants objected why he was not the favorable. Then that process has to be reviewed. The process that you just revealed now explains that. Now, that's the one process. Once N2 was closed, the mayor and his team negotiated with Housing Committee and Development Committee to say, look, open N2. And if there was a trade-off, if you open N2, what are we going to do with the qualifiers and the non-qualifiers? Then we improvise by removing the 32 people qualifiers who are in phase 3A, that is the area to build houses. That job is supposed to be done by the contractor. But because of this objection, we say let's chip in and assist. On the 5th of November, they started removing people. 23 out of 32 have been moved. Now we're left with 9. Now, because we wanted to help, we asked Department of Public Works to say, use your labor, provide us with resources, with trucks, and start moving. I would say they've done a good job. Out of 32, 23 have been moved. Now, unfortunately, they've got other responsibility. They must keep the town clean. They must cut the grass. They must clean the cemeteries. All that is parks and recreation function. The only snag, they start to do their own job. Say they start about 7:30. By 11 o'clock, they start moving people. Now that impact negatively, it delays the removal. Because now, when they start moving people, the community has never pronounced that don't pay overtime. This is not for overtime. So our public works, they move. Once Afas 4 arrives, they leave everything. They win the houses and China. The criminal element comes in and steals. Now, during the budget adjustment, in fact, in our plan, we were saying we were going to create jobs by appointing local people. 2, we're going to hire buggies to help us. Now, because now we've got this challenge, I think that is the trend, the phase that we need to test now, to appoint local people, buggy and labor to move the thing. But one element that is also a challenge, the criminal element, we need to deploy securities. The challenge with the security, the current company, which is on our database, has been appointed, has got a fixed budget, which now we cannot ask saloons to put more warm bodies to watch after this thing. This thing needs to be monitored. Now I need to put extra or a subcontractor to do the security. That plan is in place. Unfortunately, the report that has been asked by the MACO has been submitted. It looks like it didn't reach the Secretariat office in time. But there is a plan, Chief Whip, for the labor, to appoint the parties, and for securities. That plan is there. I need Mayor to approve for us. Plan is in place. Thanks.
Thank you, Speaker. You see, Speaker, when I think the executive mayor was dealing with an invoice of the previous riots, there was a resolution which was put, and that resolution was seeking to address now the future need, and hence we were saying then, we were arguing not to change it in a fashion in which we've changed. But I think it suffices to say the resolution, I think resolution 3 of that resolution, still gives the municipal manager the power to appoint the security to oversee, because they remain our assets for now until they are handed over. And we were looking at the security risk and these criminal elements when we were discussing that particular matter. I think those resolution needs to be affected to make sure that these things do not happen. Because if we don't do that, we will continue to come back to complain to council, and when we ourselves complain, and yet we have a decision sitting there that says, do this in the case of this particular nature. Because it is not far from for us waiting it to become a riot. Criminal elements starts, and then once people once people panic and then become uncomfortable, and they are going to riot, caused by what we have avoided. So the Speaker, through you, the Director and the the resolution is there. It's for you to action. But the CFO needs to make sure that the funds are spent prudently, and they are there and they can be explained to the Auditor General. And I spoke to my CFO, Mayor. The current audit was looking at the money in which we gave to the NGO for the food, for the food parcels, and they wanted to check where is the resolution of council, because what we need to do is to make sure that it is processed properly, and then we can account for it. If we can account for it, please do it. It's operational, you need to action, and you'll report to council how you spend in your normal reporting functions. So I do not see why Executive Mayor we should really delay when we have avenues to act and make sure that things are done properly. Our oversight is to make sure things that are done in time, things are done prudently, and the money is spent prudently. That's all is important for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. I think it will be important, Speaker, if I get the plan, and they must cost it, so that whenever we have to rewrite an item to council on this matter, it should have all those details when I'm bringing, because I know there's a recess that is going to take place. Some of these things, as we've discussed in the last meeting, might come. I think also I will need to sit with the HOD and the around the stealing of the very same material warehouses, where we might have to open a case. Remember, we still want to use the very same warehouses for the non-qualifiers and other people that will relocate somewhere. But I think after this meeting, we need to meet myself, him, and the law enforcement officers and see how can we, Councillor, you also need to sit there. How can we identify those people who stole the material? Whether they bring the material back or we open up cases, we have to do something about it. Can't just leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Mbali made a proposal and it was seconded by the Councillor Machila, Ward Councillor. Thank you very much. If we can move then to the next item. Item C, 493, 1120. And it deals with the response to motion of question on rental income from the municipal business premises. You will find the report on page 269 up to 285. Councillor Van Rooyen. Van Reina, can you hear me? Councillor Van Reina? Yeah, I want to find out what is going on. Okay, so you've requested IT. Okay, good. Then the item is serving, sorry. Whose hand is up? Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm glad this is eventually coming to Council since it was submitted August last year regarding the business premises. I note as well that the report mainly contains information on the residential premises, which was actually, in fact, answered in an in-committee council meeting in August last year. So it's unfortunate that unnecessary work has been done on a report that was already answered, but I think it speaks to the schedule of council items that has not been signed off and completed that we discussed as a previous item. And I remember from MACO discussions that it was mentioned that some of these items have in fact been resolved and just not been closed off by the relevant department, which is, and this is actually one of the items that still shows as an open item, the item for residential housing. And as I said, it was closed off last year. What is, however, concerning about this report that's been redone for the residential housing is that there's been no change in 14 months. We still have leases that have expired years ago. We still have properties that don't have leases. And these are items that are also mentioned in the audit report. So it's concerning that 14 months later, there's still no change at all in the control of the residential properties. But saying that, I will go with the recommendation that we get the full report for the business rentals to our next council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Swart. Mr. Sompani, why can we not get answers on these questions from Councillor? It's your section.
Mr. Speaker, this item has got is in two folds.
Yes.
I've answered the other side. Mr. Mkefa, before he left, he submitted a fully-fledged report on the finances. But I think that report of Mr. Mkefa didn't find its way because we submitted simultaneously. I only saw mine. I didn't see his. It was omitted somewhere, I don't know where. But the part I think the council is interested is the side of Mr. Mkefa. I've got that in my laptop, but he submitted it. I don't know why it didn't find its way to the agenda.
Yeah, my understanding was that it was going to be a combined report. I also have a copy of that.
You got it, okay.
Yeah, but my understanding was it's going to be a combined report submitted by your department with his attached. So I will ask the municipal manager to submit that report as well at the next council meeting, the one done by the CFO. Councillor Bali.
I second Councillor Swart.
Thank you very much. Then we can move on to the next item. It's item C/4/94/11/20. And it deals with the seasonal report, seasonal plan for the municipality. Mr. Mayor, I didn't think that we would have a seasonal plan, seeing with this COVID hanging around us. Mr. Jacobs, you are going to make a presentation. Can you make your presentation to us, please?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, while Jessica is guiding us on the presentation, I just want to say that there's a report that goes with this, and the part that I'm going to deal with is not in the report, but those are the questions that came from the Mayoral Committee meeting that needed some attention and some deliberation so that we can guide council as to how to deal with the seasonal plan.
Why is it not opening? Leslie, vat jou computer zo toe, gaan plak hom in, het is om kyk op die /11/20. Bitou Local Municipality Integrated Waste Management Plan, third generation, for 2020 up to 2025. You will find the item on page 348 up to 527. Item is serving. Councillor Bali.
Go with the recommendation by the executive.
Thank you. We go with the recommendations. Is there a seconder? Councillor Machila. Thank you very much. Next item is under engineering, section 5. Item number C/5/123/11/20. Municipal infrastructure project is a MIC funding project. Revision of detailed project implementation plan. You will find the item on page 529 up to 544. Item is serving. Councillor Bali.
No, thank you, Speaker. Speaker, before I just go with the recommendation on the revised, what you call MIG project, we also want to put it here that while we were dealing with this item, I requested some information with regard to the rollover which we have requested from National Treasurer. It is, I can confirm now that money has been approved. Remember that it was disapproved initially, which is about 5.8 million. But unfortunately, only 5.4 million has now been approved, and then a letter from COGTA has been received. With that, and then you'll remember all these projects that we're referring to during the lockdown, they were reprioritized due to COVID. So now we're reprioritizing them back to their initial planning. And hence we will go with the recommendation, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mbali. There's a proposal. We go with the recommendation. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Machila. Let me finish off engineering. Item C/5/124/11/20. Deals with the capital project implementation plan, and it's a progress report for the period ending September 2020. You will find the report on page 545 up to 556. Item is serving.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I would like to just call upon the officials. Perhaps one thing the delays was the appointment of your professional services panel. We hope now that they've been finalized and been appointed, and I am told that there will be a meeting Monday to offset the relevant consultants for all the projects that supposed to start and that were being held by this contract or tender. I think officials will need to move with speed to make sure that all those projects have started, so that by the next time we report on when we end the second quarter, we report on the positive progress when it comes to our spending and making sure that the capital projects are implemented. Thank you very much, Speaker. I thought I must raise that.
Thank you.
But we go with the recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Mbali. Is there a seconder? Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Machila, for seconding that. Mr. Jacobs, are you ready with the seasonal plan?
Thank you, Speaker. It's not yet projecting. Here it comes.
Speaker, can't Mr. Jacobs speak to it? Because I'm worried with projecting here only. The other councillors will not have the view of it in any case. So it will defeat the purpose.
They will have it.
When?
If they have their computers, they will have it.
No, it's only projecting from his computer to here. Not today.
Speaker, it's not projecting on my computer.
It will not project.
Yeah, not yet. It's not projecting here either.
It will not project, Speaker.
Okay, while they battle to get the seasonal report,
Speaker?
just re-emphasize. Yes, Councillor, come.
I think what we are all interested in is just to obviously know how we will handle the challenges of COVID-19, adhering to what is being gazetted, of course. when it comes to outdoor events and when it comes to indoor events and all the regulations that has been put in place by government. So I would also agree that I'm sure if a presentation can be made verbally or those issues can be addressed verbally, I'm sure we would be able to be informed on that.
Okay, Ms. Jansen, Mrs. Jansen, go back to the normal screen. Mr. Jacobs, you come sit down and talk to us on your seasonal plan.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Speaker. Sorry about the technical glitches. Like I said, Speaker, the presentation that was done to the MACO included a collaboration between the Pled Tourism Association and the Business Chamber, and it was quite substantial as to how the response from the Economic Development section will be towards the season and keeping the economy going. However, certain questions did arise, and it was requested that through the mayor that we look at those and speak to the relevant departments as to how do we respond. The relevant departments in this case is the beach control, it is law enforcement, and then it is the department that controls the sports fields. So in terms of what we prepared is that we will take you through I wanted to take you through all the events that came through the events committee, but I'm only gonna emphasize on those that affects the municipality, because there's a lot of events that came in that is not applicable to the municipality because there's no public liability, but we still have a little bit of oversight. And those events just had to prove in terms of COVID compliance that they are compliant. So I'm going to run through them, the non-applicables very quickly. The Bitou Adventure Breakfast Run is a private event. It's not applicable to us. The Geluk Tiger Falls, it's an adventure land thing that they do in their 4x4s. It's not applicable to us. The Hobie Nationals, it's not applicable to us, even though they launched from the pad at the beach, and they have proven to beach control that in the way that they launch the boats onto the beach, that they are COVID compliant, and also the people that's on the boats in terms of how the teams work together. The Barrington's Wine Festival is a private event, it's not applicable. The Get Lucky Summer Plate Edition has moved from the Bitou Sports Field to the Beacon Isle Hotel. So all of those events, it's a sequence of events that they've been having for 4 days, are not applicable to us. It's a private event, and the Beacon Isle restaurant will make sure that they're COVID compliant in terms of the function itself. The Sabrina Love Challenge, it is a private event, but it's applicable in the sense that there's a swimming leg, and the organizers of the swimming leg then said that they would cancel the first leg, which is the swimming leg, to make it COVID compliant, because they couldn't provide measures as to how they would control the swimming leg of the race. The Secret Sunrise event has been limited. It's been approved. It has been limited between the hours of 6 and 7, and only 100 people will be allowed in terms of that event. It's COVID compliant because the numbers are 500 in open airs and it's 50% of capacity, and we're well within that. It's going to be in the Rabok 5 at that beachfront. The Pled Polo International is not applicable. The Watershed at Barrington's event is not applicable. The two on this, well, let me just go through the others. The Cecil Solar Challenge is not applicable. And the Watercourse History Festival is a public event. It is applicable. It has been approved. It's been approved for February next year. And the organizer has indicated that they will be compliant. In the past, we had less than 50 people. We expect to have approximately 100 people with this festival. So it will be COVID compliant. The two that's important to note is the Kwano New Year's Eve Festival and the Pled Raids Student Festival. There's a keen eye on the Pled Raids Student Festival. The organizers of that festival has indicated to ourselves, to the police, to the Economic Development Department that has requested inputs that they can be COVID compliant and that they can control and track the students that will come here. They've got a pretty good app that they'll be using. I'll speak to that app. And they have Discam on board for registration. Long before those students arrive on our shore, they will be registered by Discam with the medical status, who their doctors are, and so forth. That is the app that they will be launching with this. In the past, speaker, they had a little. Oh, you've got it there. Okay. In the past, they had a little armband that they wore around their wrist. This year, that very same armband will be digitized, and students will be able to track. And the Kwana New Year's event, the next slide will indicate that we had a public notice go out that said that all sports fields are closed. Now, I'm going to come back to that because that's a decision that council needs to make. It's fine. The Pletgom experience has been approved, but the event organizer withdrew because in terms of COVID alert level 1, 500 people will just not do in terms of financial viability for that particular organizer. Carols by Candlelight, we cancelled. We did not approve that because the organizer could not indicate to us whether they could handle the crowds, and we were engaging with them if they could use the other churches to assist, but they said they just couldn't track it. The Streets Festival, the 16th of December Street Light Festival that we usually have, has been cancelled also because we cannot control and track the movement of people. However, I must say, and I'm hoping that Jermaine is listening, that we should still have the lights in the main road and the switching on of the lights as a low-key event. The New Year's Eve on Central Beach has been cancelled for the same reasons, tracking and control. It's impossible to do that. I've already spoken to the Get Lucky summer event. That also falls within the closure of the sports fields.
You didn't deal with the Plet Rage?
Sorry?
So you didn't deal with Plet Rage?
I spoke to it quickly. I'll speak to it again. And then the Griekwa March has also been cancelled. Like I said, Speaker, on the Plet Rage, we granted pre-approval so that the organizers can go and arrange this event. There's been a keen eye on this event because it's a potential super spreader event.
Yes.
The police has made several investigations as to the compliance of this event. They found them compliant. Ourselves and Plet Tourism had meetings with them, found them compliant. They themselves went the extra mile in terms of giving us comfort as to say that they will be COVID compliant amidst using a lot of amidst having a big crowd, and they will stick to the numbers, and they've given us a site plan that speaks to the population certificates that's been tested by the fire department and so forth. So we really try to cover every angle of it. We had to send the documentation of the Plet Rage because there's such a keen eye on it. The Premier's department requested it, and the Department of Economic Development and Tourism requested it. And they have been satisfied with what they saw as yet. We don't know what's going to happen moving forward. It's being arranged for close to the end of January. And things might change, and we're having a meeting with the police on Tuesday again on this matter. So it is a worrying factor. It's a consistent discussion in terms of that. These are the things, Speaker, that was the concerns and was raised in the MACO. The areas that has been identified as hotspots, like the palm tree dry spots, Central Beats, Lookout Beats, and then the mouth of the Nature's Valley, at the Nature's Valley River, at Nature's Valley, at the river mouth, sorry. Now, our law enforcement, a week ago, it was very hot in Pietermaritzburg Bay, and already on that Saturday afternoon, there was an overcrowding close to the braai spots, at the braai spots. The only thing in the meeting that law enforcement and beach control could come up with is that we have to fence it up. We cannot keep people away from it, and we don't want to do that. But we need to limit the numbers of people going in so that we have a tracking and control mechanism. So Mr. Vandala has been trying to get the costing of how much it will cost for the fencing. Unfortunately, that didn't come in, but it's 430 meters that we have to cover if we want to cover all of these four areas. And I'm awaiting figures in terms of that to make sure that we have an access control for that. What we want council to consider is the app that was demonstrated to us by the pledge rates organizers. It's a good tracking and control mechanism. There's nothing like this at the moment. We already have a lot of feet in town. The first batch of students already came, and the next batch will arrive next weekend. Our accommodation has been fully booked out. We are doing much better than any of our competition at this point. And when I spoke to the acting MM, I said even though this has not been seen as an asset, tourism safety is an asset towards a municipality that is dependent on tourism. So it's something that I want council to consider. And that if we acquire this app, and the beauty of this is that business is prepared to come on board with us. The members of Pledge Tourism is wanting to come on board with. They will pay 50% if the municipality can team up with them and pay the other 50%. It's 300 Rand per business that's in the hospitality industry, 150 of them for 5 months because we missed out on the first month. And it will add up to a total of 225,000 Rand. That is the cost implication for the municipality. In terms of the Safe Travels marketing campaign, it's just to say to people that when you come to Plettenberg Bay, you are safe. Now, Speaker, the plan is attached to the agenda, but it's basically about T-shirts saying, reinforcing the message, wear a mask. Social distancing, etc. Having pole banners and so forth across our streets, and radio campaigns and marketing campaigns all out the municipality to reinforce the message constantly to our local people and to incomers into the area. Then there's a bit of confusion around the confirmation, and confirmation needs to be given on the usage of the rugby fields. Now we got the message, and I informed the events organizers that this is the message from the municipality. There was a discussion, Councillor Mbali, that you led, and I'm flagging it now so that council can make a decision on that, because it has a huge implication on the Kwano New Year's Eve event, and then also the cinemas that has been approved, the outdoor cinemas where you sit in your car and watch these cinemas, and then the summer event that has got a pre-approval and has been moved to the PKL. And then lastly, like I say, the fencing to stop the possible spread of the virus. That is what council needs to make a decision. And I wanted to give a complete picture in terms of what the cost would be, Mr. Maridi, but unfortunately I can't because of the outstanding pricing of the fencing. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Now, Mr. Mayor, if we just look at our overseas countries where they just had summer and going into winter now, they have proven that there is no way that you can control crowds for public events that are super spreaders. It has happened and it's proven. So I don't know, council must decide what council must decide. But I cannot give my consent for any sport field to be used for a public event. knowing that there's going to be COVID spreading there, and knowing that we get different figures, that our infection has increased more than 300% in the last 2 weeks. That's the figures that I get. Beaches, the municipal beaches for events, municipal sports fields for events, municipal community halls for events, or any event where council make a contribution of money, like the Kwanekotula Gospel Festival. It will be irresponsible, in my view, of us to do that, knowing that Kwano is also a hotspot, and some of the townships. So, yeah, the item is there open for discussion, but I don't feel comfortable. I cannot give any support in any of these events. There's some of them that we can't do anything about. We can only monitor because it's private events. But anything that's to deal with the municipality's property and money, it's difficult for me to support. Councillor Mbali, I see your hand is up, and who's the next one? Councillor Swart.
The Speaker, thank you very much, Speaker. I think as Council, we need to be guided by the regulations, to be guided by the data which we receive, and avoid any emotionally attached decisions. One, if we look at these particular events, and I've seen also on the COVID group, even businesses saying they will discourage events. Discourage in a sense that they understand that there are regulations that are in place that are legal in nature, and therefore does not prohibit people from having events. But as long as people conform to the regulations and the standards. As a municipality, I think we need to look at the data which we receive on a daily basis, and the resurgence of the virus in all communities. And I think it will be only making sense for us to engage with the stakeholders that have already taken decisions to plan, because they plan based on the regulations which are approved by the national government. Now, ours is to say those who are going to use our facilities, because remember, the regulation does not prevent people to have these events as long as they don't go beyond the 500, and if they can prove, we are obliged to give to them. But what I would have suggested, and Mr. Jacobs has indicated that others will incur losses because they've already went ahead with their planning, with bookings. For us to simply say cut off, with really not engaging in understanding what will be the real losses, it will be irresponsible even from our side. I will suggest that engage these stakeholders and say, look, some of these tourism necessary events, can they be delayed into the first quarter of the year, perhaps into 2021? To avoid, remember now you have obviously holiday makers coming in that you still need to manage, because you are not going to manage. You don't know when they come, whether they have the virus or they don't have a virus. You close events that are happening in stadiums, but you're not going to close taverns. They are super spreaders. They're supposed to be regulated themselves. You're not going to close hotels, restaurants. That on its own is a super spreader. We must be honest to that. And not only be, and it has proven that it is in the open air where it is limited to spread. And then in the areas where it's closed off, is the one that you're not closing. You know, your bars, your tavern and all of that, we are not going to close because they are private areas. But the open air, it is encouraged in terms of the regulations. I think we need to look into those issues. But I will really say, if we take a decision to say no events should take place in these particular areas because of this 1, 2, 2, 3 reason, and we must put it before the organizers that these are the reasons, and we want their buy-in. And those who have already planned, and you know, those that we have contract with as a municipality, can they delay it a little bit further when we can see that the sketch has lowered down and that those events then carried? You know, you have already entered into contract with these people, and cancelling it, they will suffer losses. And we don't want a situation where we enter into lawsuits because we have not, you know, taken these things and thought through properly about it. But I think going further, Speaker, is because if we're saying others have been moved out of stadiums and moved elsewhere, it does not mean the people who go there are not going to go to Checkers tomorrow and continue to spread the virus. It's not going to change because shopping malls today is a Black Friday. People are flocking into malls. We have not said please limit people who are coming to your malls. It's a super spreader. So I'm saying let's try and say, being a responsible council, engage these people, let them delay these events that are necessary for our tourism. Because in any case, tourism, the season will end February or so. So by that time, at least we'll have seen the downward trend into the sketch, and at least these events organizers that have already planned, they will not really necessarily suffer, you know, financial losses by us. I've seen, in other areas they have cut off, but we don't know the engagement that they've went through those processes to cut, whether these people really have already incurred cost or not. But in this case, the report does indicate some will have. I've seen it yesterday also in the group of COVID. People have already organized, have already made announcements, you know, and all of these things. So we need to look at those things. I am not opposed in delaying the events, but I just want us to do it diligently and making sure that there is no financial losses that we could have avoided.
Thank you. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm glad to see a lot of thought has gone into this by the Economic Development Department. And to add to what Councillor Mbali is saying, is we need to remember that the spread of this virus is behavior-based. And it's been a matter of trying to change people's behavior and trying to get people to adhere to the protocols with wearing masks, social distancing. And that's where there are a lot of challenges. I've been trying in the last week to get some more specific information in terms of numbers of infections in the hotspot areas in Bitou, without success from disaster management and the doctors. So we still don't know where the big infections, large number of infections are, but we know the hotspot areas around Bitou. And although these are hotspot areas, what we need to remember is people move around. So wherever the hotspot areas are, these people also come into the town area. So we need to be aware that people need to enforce the protocols that are there, wearing the mask, the social distancing, and the sanitizing. And this is where a lot of the challenge comes in with people moving around, because we're finding people are traveling in taxis without wearing masks. They arrive in town and then they go get themselves a mask. So if one of these people is infected and is positive without knowing it, they will have infected virtually everyone in that taxi. And this has been evident particularly in Market Square, who gives away free masks. When people have arrived, get out of a taxi and then go ask for a mask. So I think we need to try and have some plan in place to control the movement of people that are not wearing masks. And I think with law enforcement and SAP's help, and also the taxi associations, this could be monitored at your taxi ranks. That when people leave to come to town or leave from town to go home, that when they get in the taxis, they're wearing their masks. And it also goes for private vehicles that are transporting people as well. And it's only by controlling that we're going to help control the spread. Because as I say, people are moving around. You cannot stop people moving around unless we go into a hard lockdown situation again. And that, I think, is unlikely to happen. So we need to make sure that everyone is adhering to the protocols. And the same goes with events. I'm glad to see some of the events that are high risk have actually been disallowed. But we need to make sure that if any other private events are going ahead, that the protocols are adhered to. And here again, we need law enforcement and SAPs to, in their normal patrols, stop in at events like that to make sure that the protocols are being adhered to. What a lot of people, I think, don't realize is part of the events, part of what's disallowed is dancing. That's also in the regulations, and it was drawn to my attention recently as well. So that's also something that we need to be monitoring as well, that there is no dancing taking place because this is a regulation that is not allowed. So the whole COVID thing is, as I said, behavior-based, and we need to be monitoring that. But then just to get onto some of the other issues in the season plan as well, a problem that we always have is the intersection with the N2 for people leaving Market Square and Checkers. And sometimes when there's a lull in traffic, the officers are removed, but then by the time the traffic backs up again, it takes a while for officers to get there. So I think we need to try and plan that there's an officer on duty all the time until the shops have closed. And for the traffic to be monitored as well that leaves Market Square and Checkers, because often there's a problem with backup over there, and it might be necessary to have an officer there from time to time to help regulate that traffic. And then also just another thing, in terms of the river bylaws that need to be policed, I believe that our boat is serviceable this season, and that Mr. Sakati has made arrangements for suitably qualified skippers to be manning the boat, and I thank him for that. And thank you. That's all I have to comment on the season plan for now.
Thank you, Councillor Swart. Mr. Meyer, you're the champion of this seasonal report.
Thank you, Speaker. I still didn't get an answer. Still don't know what are we saying. Yes, I hear the reasoning behind, but what is our position as council? It's not clear. It's not clear in the sense that you remember when there was a lockdown level 5 to level 1, our numbers were very low in the district. And at that time, we closed the beaches, we closed community facilities, whilst our numbers were very low. But at this stage, our numbers have doubled or tripled from where we were when we closed the beaches and others. Now, should we say because there's no lockdown from national government, we are safe? Because I think we are taking a decision based on what the national government have said. Whilst previously the national government said something, whilst we were not really affected. But this time the national government is not saying anything. Whilst we are so highly infected, it's something that the council should apply their mind on this matter. Because you don't want, after the festive season, half of your population has been infected. You've seen what is happening in the hospitals, in the district, in other provinces. In Plat, we don't even have a hospital. We don't have a proper plan of availing budget to fix again the Pisang Hall community hall for people to isolate. That has not been planned, but the numbers are higher than what happened before. And we don't have these measures in place now whilst the numbers are escalating. I'm just worried about that, Councillor, because if you are if you go on research, this might happen. I know that the President might talk on the 15th. Whatever we discuss after the 15th, if the President says something, we might have to change some of the decisions. But I'm just worried about the numbers that are higher than where we were during the lockdown. And we seem to tone down on that. That's my only worry, Speaker. As I said, Council must advise on the matter. But my position, Speaker, is similar to yours. It's similar to yours when it comes to the public places, facilities. At least that alone will be able to tell people that there is a problem. But to open it just like that, people might not see it, that there exists a problem in this town. But it's up to council. I think there are certain business people and some of the COVID-19 committee members were of the view that certain events really need not to take place this year. Hence, we propose that these events must be actually tabled to council and council to take decision. But I think your position is clear, and that's the type of a position that I think it helps. And I also support what Councillor Bali is saying. I don't know how Leslie happened to pay money for the New Year events, whilst other contracted service. Look at the golf. It did not happen, but I don't know why Leslie on this one is paying money. Because we said everything must be stalled. No budget must be given to events until they are proven us by council. But Leslie will have to tell me why this one alone, whilst the golf was not there, the boxing, the gospels. There's a couple of events that we said that budget must be, we will discuss it during the adjustment budget. But this one happened, and that's one of the discussions that we are having now. But I want to support what Councillor Mbali is saying and your position that some of these events must be delayed until we believe that the town is safe. That is my take, Speaker. I don't know what might others, councillors suggest.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. Some of the events, the outdoor events, is obviously, it was indicated that those events has been cancelled. It's only now the issue of our facilities that we need to make, obviously, a decision on. And then also, Speaker, if permission is granted for, or like for instance, with the Rage Festival, I see pre-approval has been granted. We need to ask ourselves in terms of our capacity as a municipality, in terms of our law enforcement, traffic control, and all of that. Do we have the capacity to actually render support to all these events? Because look, as Councillor Bali has said, it's not for us to be emotional about it. It's for us to make a decision based on whether we will be able to adhere to regulations. And we all know when it comes to outdoor events, it becomes difficult, especially if alcohol is abused or the use of alcohol is involved. Because then people become relaxed and people they socialize. And as a result, people will become less interested in being compliant. So, you know, Speaker, those are the issues. Are we going to open our facilities to the organizers? The other thing, are we operationally do we have the capacity to actually render support? Will we be able to cope? So I think we need to take those things into consideration before we can actually make a decision. Thank you, Speaker.
Councillor Mbali?
No, thank you, Speaker. Speaker, just to re-emphasize, I think where we agree is that let's go and engage the stakeholders that have already pre-planned. You know, we've got the Gospel Festival, which we have a contract with, which is supposed to come to an end, which is supposed to have its last event. We have your golf. I'm just talking about those that we have in contract. You have the one that we've already committed for 31st. These are the ones that we are putting money in. I'm saying, speak to those that you delay those events into the first quarter, and engage all other that are supposed to be using our facilities, so that as we take this decision as a municipality, they are informed what are the reasons behind, and also for them to prepare that they do not suffer financial losses that they have already incurred, so that they can pre-plan in those particular areas. And also I think in us, because remember, others will simply move the events to private indoors. I have seen there's an event preceding the one of the 31st in Kwano, going to a tavern. That will mean we still have to play a role in all the events that are taking place. But I think the data needs to be communicated to all events organizers that these are the reasons that we are taking this particular decision. We are not against events, but we want their cooperation to delay their events into whatever is a later date, so that there's at least the December space is out of our area. Because I know I am not sure about the beaches, which are a national, resource, as well as the municipality. Whether because of the season are we going to close them? Because I'm worried, Speaker and Executive Mayor, on the 1st of December, what are we going to do? Because that's another area that we are not venturing, because it's not an event, it's people visiting the beach. It's happening as we speak, but we're not closing the beach in the current situation. So those are the other thoughts that I think we need to put into the table. How are we dealing with these particular issues? So I'll really into the issue that let's discuss with them, find a way to delay these events that we are sponsoring as a municipality.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Bali. Mr. Mayor?
Speaker, thank you. I've seen an email that was sent to Mr. Jacobs by a certain church, and you denied that church from having the service there along the beach. And that church has threatened to take us to the Constitutional Court because the regulations, that means we did not comply with the regulations. This decision will be similarly treated. There might be some organizers who might take us to court. And then what do we do? It's something that we must also be aware as we take this decision, because the regulations have not yet changed. I would really love us to send a letter to the Premier Since we were identified as a hotspot, as a garden route, I thought that the executive mayor of the district will be able to guide us on this by talking to the premier. Whether these kind of events we should allow. Remember, we're a tourist destination. The premier must at least comment on it, so that whenever we are taken to court, they don't get surprised as a provincial government. They must guide us on this matter. Maybe we can say this is what we've discussed as a council, and this is what is our feeling. We need the premier to advise on how best can we handle the situation. Because they are the ones that know what is the pressure in the hospitals, what are the provincial plans to curb the spread of the virus. I don't know what is the provincial seasonal plan. It's not presented to us yet. Whether as a province there are certain measures that they will put in place for towns like us, because the towns that have been identified, it's us, it's Neisner, it's George, it's Mossel Bay. We are highly infected. So I don't know what the premier might suggest on that. But I also want us to the N2. Somebody spoke about N2. The unrest in Koloni, they burn the lights in the N2. It's dark there at night. Now you don't want to have visitors walking along the N2 during the festive in that darkness to be attacked. If we can send a letter to send a letter to Central that we really ask them to fix the lights in the N2 from Kolweni to the traffic circle next to Shell Ultra Street. I think that might also avoid a number of casualties. Thank you, Speaker.
Then just to wrap up then, Mr. Mayor. So we suggest, Mr. Gireke, that municipal property not being used for crowd drawing events, any official events. If people go to the beach, they go there as individuals, as long as there's no company doing promotion on the beach. That we don't allow. Or that there's a church that wants to have a service on the beach. That church don't have a right to have a service on the beach. Individuals go to the beach. We're not closing the beach for individuals to go and enjoy. But any function on the beach, we will not allow. The golf, as already Councillor Mbali, you might not know, requested in February next year, because they know they could not have it this time around. I don't know about the Gospel Festival, and I don't know about the other festival. But if that is the case, I think we should actively suggest to them that they have it January, February next year, the ones that we support, the events that we support. Then I fully agree with you, Mr. Mayor. The N2 is very dark. I also agree with Councillor Swart that the intersection at the Market Square onto Beacon Way onto the N2 should be dealt with on a 24/7 basis. Not just there, then the officials must be phoned to say there's a big backlog, and then they must rush down. There must be somebody there all the time. And at the traffic circle, the traffic lights at the Market Square, it can be changed to allow for the traffic to flow faster. It's possible. Otherwise, there must be somebody there. Then, yeah, I think with that, Councillor Mbali, I don't know if you have something to add.
Yes, Speaker.
Councillor Swart is also.
Thanks, Speaker. No. I just wanted us to formulate the resolution of council because I want us to be very vigilant to what the executive mayor raised. It's exactly what was my concern when I was referring to regulations promulgated by national government. because I'm worried about the litigations. I think for us as council to be safe, to be seen to be acting when it comes to issues of regulations, to be acting when it comes to trying to make sure our people are safe, is to say we discourage the use of public facilities for events. That will, in a case where you find the event organizer forcing its way, does not have to take us that we have willingly taken a decision to close the facility which they have a right over. And I'm saying try limit any possible litigation, but it is the responsibility of council to discourage the use of its facilities. And that must be communicated with all the events organizers, like the letter, the email I haven't seen that the executive mayor is speaking to. You don't know, people can take you to court for a £2 because they've got the money to spend. But we must have been seen that we have taken a thought-through decision to discourage our people from using our public facilities for this particular purpose and to safeguard for any spreading from our facilities. At least we have safeguard from us as a municipality. That's a line I think we need to use in this particular issue, in saying that we are closing off our facilities. And I think Leslie must go and discuss, call all of them under one roof and discuss and say these are the issues, and we are discouraging as a municipality the use of these public facilities, and then we'll be closing them off. I'm not a legal person. I thought that's what just came to my mind, is how do we have to term the resolution of council?
A resolution should always be clear. Now you're giving your problem to them, and we need to take decisions, not them. Councillor Swart?
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, clarity is certainly needed, and to support what Councillor Mbali has said, we need to make sure that the correct message goes out. And that's why I just wanted to note that already some events that are included in the season plan actually fall outside the season. And I'm referring specifically to the Matric Rage event, which is now taking place on the 29th of January, which is effectively out of season time. So we must just make sure that we don't send out messages that confuse issues and make it seem as if that event is not happening, whereas Mr. Jacobs has said a provisional approval has been given pending what our situation is closer to that time. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jacobs.
Speaker, I just need guidance on the fencing issue as well.
Yes, I think we agree on the fencing. That you can't stop it. It's not an organization taking people there. It's people going there by themselves, and we should try and make it safe for them. The issue around the financing needs to be discussed with the municipal manager, CFO, mayor, and chairman of the portfolio committee of finance. I'm sure they can. It's difficult for us to say it must be so and so amount here. We don't know. Councillor Kamkam?
Speaker, I just want to know, besides the issue of fencing, will we make sanitation stations available on various spots? Or is that not included in the plan?
Are you going to give them masks as well, Councillor Kamkam?
No, I don't mean it like that, Speaker, but it's just, I'm just asking for a reason.
Yeah. Sanitation and masks should be made available at municipal property, buildings and stuff. I don't think we should, otherwise you must go and do it on the beach as well. No, we won't, Councillor Kamkam. So find out what the fence is, communicate with the municipal manager and the mayor. And I'm sure it makes sense that that area be controlled. It's a confined area. Thank you very much. Shall we go with that recommendations? Is it clear? Proposer, seconder. I had so many councillors talking. Councillor Mbali made the proposal and seconded by Councillor Machila. Thank you. Then let's move on to our last section, councillors. Section 6, the Economic Development and Planning section. Mr. Girke, you did not remind me in the beginning of the meeting that you wanted to add an item. So I request council's indulgence to add item C/6/128/11/20, and it's the draft zoning bylaw that the officials want an in-principle decision for it to be advertised only for public participation during December. The workshop and the coming back to council will still happen in the new year. Are we happy with that? It's just the public advert that needs to be placed.
I thought we've already dealt with it. No, it's fine. Yeah.
I also thought so.
I think I've already, it was there. I've already dealt with it. Just go to the recommendation. No, this is building control now.
Yeah, we're going on the building control. Yeah, we are on the building control. We are. Okay, then let's start then. Councillors, the last few items. 6/125. Building control section, quarterly report for July to September. There's recommendations by the executive mayor. Item is serving. Councillor Bali.
Yeah, we go to recommendations.
Thank you. There's a proposal by Councillor Bali that we go with the recommendations. Is there a seconder? The recommendations, Councillor Machila, thank you very much. Seconding that. Recommendations is carried and it's now a resolution of council. Next item is item C/6/126/11/20. And that deals with the status of the Colony Cultural Village project. You will find the item on page 565 to 566. Item is serving. There's recommendations by the executive mayor.
Thank you, Speaker.
Yes, Councillor Bali.
Speaker, on this item, it's just one of the projects that have been delayed by the delay on the appointment of consultants. Now that they've been finalized, we're seeking for it to be expedited and that timelines be put in place so that the community knows when they're going to start. So the consultants are there for the project to start, Speaker. Thank you very much. We'll go to with the recommendations by the mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Machila.
Thanks, Chair. I hope there won't be any delays again, Chair. It's been a long overdue.
Thank you, thank you. I'm sure, Councillor Machila, you will make sure as the ward councillor in that area that there's no delays. Are you seconding the proposal? Thank you. It's now a resolution of council. Item C/6/127/11/20. Economic Development and Tourism report for the third quarter, starting in July up to the 30th of September. You will find the report on page 567 up to page 577. Item is serving. Jessica, sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, it's just that the heading should change to indicate that it's quarter one.
This is first quarter.
Yes.
Thank you, instead of quarter three. Thank you very much. Was that correction? Whose hand is that? Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. Thanks for the report. I think this report was moved from the last council meeting to this council meeting. I'd just like to find out a little bit more about the tourism side of things. There's not much that's said in the report regarding tourism, but there's been a lot of speculation and things in the public regarding tourism The bylaw still somewhere in limbo. It's never really been finalized. And recently we had a lot of speculation regarding the CEO of tourism who resigned. And I would have thought we'd probably get a bit more information onto that, and especially speculation that's going around that although he resigned, he's still getting a salary till the end of the year, which means we're paying 2 salaries. And then there's also some clarity that I've been trying to get unsuccessfully just regarding the mapping of the cycle route that was reported in last month's council meeting under the tenders that were awarded, an amount of 125,000 Rand to map a route. And some people are saying there's speculation there that the route was already done 3 years ago. So I wonder if Mr. Jacobs could maybe just give some clarity on those 2 items.
Did you get those 2 questions, Mr. Jacobs?
Yes, Chairperson. Thank you. It's actually one question. The answer to the internal mechanisms of the Tourism Association is not for the municipality. We sit on the board as ex-officio members, and the decision that was made for the CEO, the CEO actually resigned before the meeting, and it was accepted by the board, and that is as far as my knowledge goes. I'm going to leave it there. And as far as the other things that were mentioned, we can deal with that through a formal communication. That's a supply chain matter.
Yeah, but no. We, as far as I remember, we give money to the Tourism Association. Yes, and we have representation on that board. So this council need to know from that representation on that board what is happening there. As part of your report back, what you call it. So if there's questions that's coming from councillors, it should be answered.
Speaker, is very difficult for me. There was a lot of I received the WhatsApp speculating a lot of things that could either be right or wrong. I did not venture into any of those. The board was called together by the chairperson of the Tourism Association. Myself and Mr. Friedman attended that meeting. On the morning before we attended the meeting, the chairperson resigned, and the resignation letter was then tabled at that particular meeting. Sorry, CEO. The CEO resigned. Sorry, I speak under correction. And the contents of the letter was with immediate effect. And the only thing for the board to do was to either accept or reject the resignation. We accepted unanimously, and it was made immediately. So that was it. I'm not going to go. I cannot go into speculation whether of the rumors, whether it was right or wrong. I cannot go in there. It's not my place.
Councillor Swart, happy?
So yes and no. There was speculation regarding salary, which I suppose Mr. Jacobs would not then carry knowledge of if it wasn't discussed today. Thanks.
Mr. Jacobs, I think you should be able to answer us on that. Is the man getting 2 salaries? I can't hear clearly from the question that Councillor Swart is answering. What is the issue around the salaries?
No.
Just to clarify, and the speculation, as I said, it's not, I don't know if it's true or not, and that's why I'm just asking. There's speculation that although he resigned, he's still receiving a salary till the end of the year. And there's obviously an interim CEO that's been appointed that I presume would also be getting a salary. So it might be that there is 2 salaries being paid for the same period of time. And that's what I was just trying to get some clarity on.
So, Dolop, can I maybe request that you call for a meeting as the mayor with the tourism board? And so that they can just bring us up to speed on what's happening with the resignation of the CEO, and the question around the two salaries. I think it's important that I've also read stuff somewhere and I could not make sense of it.
Speaker, you see, when it comes to this issue of tourism, we discussed it a day or 2 days before that board was going to sit, because it was on the news already. The CFO will be suspended or is going to resign. And we said, as an interested party, we must be given information. I think Mr. Friedman said he will attend this particular information from tourism. I think we can't reduce ourselves discussing the issue of salary. But what we can do as a stakeholder is to meet up with the board, the new CEO, and get, because we are a strategic partner.
Yes, we give the money.
We need to know what is the plans of the current tourism, what are the challenges because I don't want us to reduce this thing into one CEO and the salary, because then we're no longer strategic. We're entering into the space of petty issues that are happening in that board. But we need to know what are the strategic issues and the direction of the current board, the CEO, and their challenges, and perhaps being taken into confidence. This is exactly what we've said, being taken into confidence of what has happened in the previous CEO, because there were a lot of speculation, including monies of COVID spent or not spent. You know, when one looks into it, they don't suffice. I mean, they don't hold water. But it's just speculations, and we do not want to enter into the politics of the board, but we want to have strategic direction from tourism, and as well as their plans. We're supposed to get the tourism plan for this period. They should have taken us into confidence into that effect. And I hear what the issues of cycling and all of that. Those are the other things that needs to be taken into confidence. The entire plan of the current board and so that as a municipality, as we put our money with confidence that is being well spent. Not that every time we're attacked that we're not spending our money prudently. And then when the money reaches other people, it is not being followed. And we don't matter, it doesn't care what happens. So I'm saying let's try to be strategic on the matter. And I don't want us to put and give the mayor to go and discuss salaries. Mayor must discuss what are the strategic issues with the board going forward, what are their plans. Are their plans going together with our plans as a municipality? And I think that's the discussion the mayor needs to enter into if he has to meet with the board. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Mr. Mayor?
Speaker, I'm not sure whether we are reacting to what is going on. You remember there was an item, I'm not sure if it's safe to council, but it came to me, where there was a recommendation that we must in-source tourism. And that was actually mostly supported by, but I never supported that. And we requested that the officials must give us a report on what is going on, because it was during that time of the CEO and all of that. Then we requested that they must give us a report detailing where best tourism can be, whether within the municipality or where the way it is, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of tourism being insourced or outsourced. That report has never served up until now. Rather, we are still discussing similar kind of a situation where tourism section is there's still that kind of not knowing exactly what is going on there. I would really suggest that, Speaker, that in order for us to know exactly and to budget properly and to monitor properly what is going on there, we need to take a proper decision. What is it that we're saying? How do we build a strong relationship between us and tourism? Because you will see some of their comments about us as a council, they put in the newspapers. It's actually not good.
Exactly.
They clearly show that tourism is not really happy with the municipality. And sometimes we get shocked about their comments in the media. So these are the things that we should be able to know. Yes, it's an NGO, but it's an NGO where we've got an interest in that NGO because at the moment, council has agreed that they are the one that should champion tourism-related activities into the town. We really need to find out from them as to, for me, even if we meet with them, but I think there should be a presentation from them to council as to what is it that is happening there. They must tell us exactly what is going on. And maybe council can also certify itself. Because even if I do that, it will just be one thing that I'm asking them. But if we want to go deeper and to understand each other and a proper way forward, we need to ask them for a presentation in the next council meeting for them to come and present to us how they intend to make sure that that NGO is properly run to serve the interests of the town. What is it that they are doing with the money, and what is this money that they're saying is not enough? How much will be enough for them? We need to know the benefits. You know, there's tourism township and all of. What are the benefits to those poor communities and disadvantaged? These are all the things that I think, Speaker, rather than just dealing with that, because they can also bring the question from Councillor Swart in that presentation, they can also be able to answer and bring forward. That's what I suggest, Speaker, for Council to have a session, a presentation from that. Thank you, Speaker.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will then request the municipal manager to organize us a session with council where they make a presentation, and we will outline in that request to them what it is exactly that we need from them, taking all the inputs that councillors have made. Okay. Back to the report in front of us. There is recommendations by yourself, Mr. Mayor. Can we go with that recommendations for now? Councillor Bali?
We can just add that the tourism must bring a presentation to council about, Thank you. Go with the recommendations.
Thank you very much. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Machila. Then that brings us to our last item in open council, which is item C/6/128/11/20. It's a draft zoning bylaw. And the request by the municipal manager for us to have the bylaw approved in principle and open for public comments, and then bring back to council to the next meeting.
We'll go with the recommendations.
There's a proposal, we go with the recommendation. Is there a seconder? Councillor Machila, thank you very much. That brings us to the end of our open session in council, and that's finalizing item 8 on our agenda. If we can now go to item 9, urgent matters submitted by the municipal manager. I did not receive any items under that item. Item 10, consideration of notices of motion. The following notice of motion of question was submitted in terms of Rule 37.2 of the Rules of Order. It was a notice of question by Councillor Swart, and I would like Councillor Swart to talk on this notice of question for us. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. It's been bothering me for quite a while in terms of minutes of meetings, and from various meetings that I've been party to over the years, your minutes normally reflect what was discussed in the meeting, and more it's attention that our council minutes are more a record of decisions taken, but there's often important things in discussion that is not recorded. It could clarify things. And some of the examples just from today's meeting, discussion that we had around the human resources the report, where we spoke about equity, and Councillor Mbali mentioned that we need to consider that when employing people, and also that decisions taken, consequence management doesn't necessarily mean a dismissal, but it's just a matter of addressing a problem. And those sort of records recorded in our meeting minutes, which could be important for someone just wanting to verify something or just to go through what was said in the meeting. And that's why I put in this motion that it doesn't, our minutes from council don't truly reflect discussions that take place in council. And my feeling is that it should also be discussion, and obviously it doesn't need to be just a summary as well that can highlight certain things in the meeting that are relevant. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Swart. There is a recommendation by the municipal manager that the item be referred to the relevant department and then reported back to the next meeting of council. Councillor Mbali.
Thanks, Speaker. I think I hear what Councillor Swart is saying, but I do not think this is necessary, Speaker. Matters of debate remains matters of debate. What is recorded is the actual resolutions of council. We can't record every debate unless when somebody requires this. That's why there's recording. If you need a transcript of a meeting, that on request can be made available. But the resolutions that are before us are matters that of resolutions, and therefore resolutions reflect on the minutes. And the issue that, you will have to have a lot of pages of the transcript of the debate which we're having for each and every individual councillor that speaks. But I do not think, Councillor Swart, that is necessary for that. What is necessary is what is put before the Speaker as a resolution of council, whether it is supported or whether it is not supported, whether there was a vote or whether there was no vote. Those are the critical issues that get recorded. But the rest, in terms of what we have discussed, is a matter of discussion. It's a matter of persuasion. And what then becomes a resolution later is what must be reflected. Therefore, I do not see why it must be referred to any other department, because that's what it remains to be. That is a resolution of council that will reflect. But if councillors want a transcript, I don't think they are, not given that space that they've been given the transcript if they need the transcript. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Mbali. Councillor Swart?
Speaker, I can't agree with Councillor Mbali there. I'm not asking for a transcript at all, because any meeting that anyone has, when the minutes are taken and circulated, it's nowhere near a transcript. It's just a brief summary of what was said in the meeting. And at the moment, our council minutes are not minutes of the meeting. It's a record of reports approved. And so I feel it's got information that's lacking, and it should really be a summary of the meeting, not a transcript.
Okay, I think let's just stick with the resolution, Councillor Mbali. We can debate it at the next meeting. I also disagree with Councillor Swart. But,
no, Speaker. I think what Councillor, because remember, there is nothing that the officials are going to go and search. What Councillor Swart is requesting is perhaps in future, the manner in which we write our minutes needs to be relooked at. So the Secretariat may look at the most best possible way of writing minutes, which I'm saying in this juncture is neither here nor there, because we reflect only the resolutions.
Yes,
so if the manner of writing reports going forwards need to be relooked at, it's a Secretariat matter. They can look into that as a Secretariat. But I don't think we need to refer the item back. We must just note the motion from the Councillor. He has raised the issues, but obviously we disagree. But I think the Secretariat going forward, they just need to look into that matter, whether it's highly possible, whether it's permissible or not, going forward.
Yeah, and it's going to take a lot of time as well, Councillor Swart, is my view, before resolutions can be implemented, because we will now have a situation where you have a court-style report from the judge to say everything was saying and summarize that, and then with the decision at the end. I don't think it's feasible. And I could be wrong, but as far as I know, no councillor has been refused a transcript of a meeting if there was something that he or she was not clear about. That is available, and if councillors have problems with that, I'm available to talk to the municipal manager on transcripts of meetings. Yeah. Okay.
I think it needs to be discussed going forward. If we take, for instance, ward committee meetings where the minutes are not a transcript of the meeting, it's a summary of what is said, and that's all I'm saying needs to be added to what is essentially just a record of reports approved in council. It's not proper council minutes.
Thank you, Councillor Swart. I hear you. I hear you. Then can we move then to the next item, councillors? Item 11.